The maid arrives at work and finds the prince cleaning the house. The reason made her cry. Before we begin this beautiful period romance story, tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I love knowing where you're joining me from. Anna reached the iron gate just as the morning fog began to thin. It was not quite sunrise. The road behind her was empty, and the estate ahead looked asleep. She tightened her grip on her small bundle and adjusted her cap with fingers that were already cold. No lingering, she told herself under her breath. In, apron on, hands busy. The bell pull by the servants' entrance was stiff from the night air. She pulled once, then waited. Usually someone answered quickly. The kitchens woke early. The scullery never truly slept. This time, nothing. Anna tried again. The bell gave its small, obedient sound. Still nothing. That is odd, she murmured. She glanced toward the main house. No movement at the windows, no lamp, no shadow crossing the curtains. Even the stable yard seemed unusually quiet. Anna hesitated. It was not her place to enter without being admitted, but it was worse to stand outside like a lost child. She tried the door handle. It yielded. The servants' corridor smelled of nothing at all, as if the house had been holding its breath. Her shoes made a soft sound on the stone. She paused, listening for the familiar clatter of pans, the scrape of chairs, the first irritated call of Mrs. Hawthorne. Nothing. Anna swallowed. Perhaps I am too early, she whispered, yet she was rarely the first. There was always someone. A footman, a kitchen maid, anyone. She stepped farther in, careful, half expecting Mrs. Hawthorne to appear as if summoned by her doubts. Then she heard it. Not voices, not footsteps. A steady sound. A rough, rhythmic scrape. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Anna turned her head toward the sound. It came from deeper in the house, not the servants' wing. That was wrong, that was entirely wrong. She should have turned back. She knew it the way she knew her own name. But the sound went on, stubborn and steady, and it tugged at her like a hand at her sleeve. Anna walked slow at first, then quicker, following the scrape through a corridor that led toward the family rooms. Her heart began to beat too fast. She pressed her palm to her apron as if she could calm it that way. Who would be? She started, then stopped herself. She did not speak loudly in noble halls, even when no one was there to scold her. The sound came from a door that stood ajar. A guest parlor, she thought, or one of the rooms the master rarely used. Mrs. Hawthorne would have called it improper for a maid to enter at all. Anna reached the doorway, and then the world shifted. A man knelt on the floor with his back half turned to her. His coat was off. His sleeves were rolled to his forearms. His shirt collar was open in a way no valet would allow. A bucket sat beside him. A brush moved in his hand, scrubbing the floorboards as if they had offended him personally. Anna's first thought was simple and foolish. He will ruin his hands. Her second thought struck like a slap. That is not a servant. Because even from behind, she knew the line of his shoulders. She had seen him once at a distance, when the household had stood in rows like well-dressed furniture, while a royal party passed through. She had seen him on a newspaper engraving tacked near the kitchen door, where the younger maids whispered and giggled. Prince Edward. Anna forgot how to breathe. The brush kept moving. Scrub, scrub, scrub. He did not look up at first. Perhaps he did not hear her. Perhaps the scrubbing was louder to him than the sound of her shoes. Hannah tried to retreat without being noticed. Her heel caught the edge of the threshold. The smallest scrape of leather against wood betrayed her. The brush stopped. Slowly, the man on the floor lifted his head. Anna's curtsy happened too late and too awkwardly, because her legs did not remember their training in time. "Your Royal Highness," she said, voice thin, "I beg your pardon. I did not mean to—" He stared at her for a long moment without speaking. His eyes were not angry. They were something worse to witness, tired, hollow, as if he had not expected anyone to see him as he truly was. "You are early," he said at last. Anna's face went hot. "Yes, sir. I mean, Your Royal Highness. I did not know the hour would be—" "What is your name?" The question made her flinch. A prince did not ask a maid's name. A prince did not kneel on the floor with a brush in his hand either, and yet here they both were. "Anna," she managed. "Anna Whitmore, sir." He nodded as if storing the information carefully, as if it mattered more than it ought to. "Anna," he repeated, and the way he said it was quiet. Not commanding, almost grateful. She kept her eyes down. That was safer. "I will go at once," she said. "I saw nothing. No." The word was soft, but it stopped her as firmly as a hand on her arm. Anna looked up despite herself. He had risen to his feet, though not with the ease of a man accustomed to servants doing everything for him. His movements were stiff, as if his body ached from effort. He took a step toward her, then stopped, as if remembering what distance etiquette required and choosing not to cross it. "Do not call out," he said. "Do not run to fetch anyone." Anna's mouth went dry. "Your Royal Highness, I would never." "You might," he interrupted, still quietly. "Out of habit, out of fear, out of what you have been trained to do." Anna swallowed. "Yes, sir." He looked past her into the corridor, listening. The house remained silent, but his attention was sharp, as if he expected sound to attack him at any moment. "You said you will go," he said. "Yes, sir." He glanced at the bucket, then at the floor, then back at her. "Do not go yet." Anna's confusion fluttered into panic. Every rule she knew was bending. Bending rules always ended with someone like her paying the price. "I am not fit to remain," she said carefully. "Mrs. Hawthorne will—" "Mrs. Hawthorne is not here," he said, and something bitter crossed his face for a breath. "None of them are." Anna blinked. "Not here. I sent them away for the morning." Anna stared. "You sent the staff away?" He nodded once, as if that should be enough explanation. "You cannot—" She stopped herself. "You cannot" was not something a maid said to a prince. She tried again. "Forgive me, sir. I do not understand." "You are not required to understand," he replied. Then his voice changed, softer still. "But you are here now." Anna's fingers tightened on her bundle until the cloth bit into her skin. "Your Royal Highness," she said, choosing each word as if placing china on a tray. "If I have offended you by entering—" "You have not offended me." He looked at her hands. "Are you cold?" Anna blinked again, thrown by the question. "A little, sir." He glanced at a chair with a shawl draped over it, perhaps left from the previous evening. He made a motion as if to bring it, then stopped himself. He was a prince. He could have called for someone to do it, but there was no one to call. He went to the chair and picked up the shawl himself. Anna's breath caught. The sight of him doing something so ordinary felt like seeing a statue move. He approached and held the shawl out, not touching her, just offering. Anna hesitated. Refusing a prince felt dangerous. Accepting felt worse. "I cannot—" "You can," he said, and there was no authority in it, only insistence. "Take it." Her hands trembled as she took the shawl and wrapped it around her shoulders. It smelled faintly of lavender soap and smoke from a fire, but she did not allow herself to dwell. "Thank you, sir." He nodded, as if he had simply returned something that belonged to her. Then he looked down at his own hands. The skin across his knuckles was reddened. There was a small cut at one finger. Nothing dramatic, nothing that would alarm a physician, but it looked wrong on someone born to gloves and ceremony. Anna heard herself speak before she could stop it. "You will hurt yourself." His gaze lifted to her face. "It is only a hand." "It is your hand," she said, then flushed again. "Forgive me." He did not rebuke her. He did not smile either. "I have hurt worse things than hands," he said. Anna did not know what to say to that. Silence fell. The brush waited by the bucket like a faithful animal. Edward looked at it, then at the floor. "I meant to finish," he said. "Finish, sir?" Anna echoed. He gestured toward the boards. "This." Anna's mind scrambled for sense. "But there are men for that, and maids, and yet I am here," he said. Anna stared at the floor as if it might explain. "Why?" she whispered before she could remember not to ask such a question. For a moment she thought he might order her out. That would have been easier. Instead he answered without truly answering. "Because I can." His voice tightened. "Because I must." Anna's heart squeezed strangely. She did not know him. She had no right to pity him. But she saw the tension in his jaw, the way his eyes avoided the window as if daylight itself might accuse him. He stepped closer to the bucket again and picked up the brush. "If you go," he said, "you will tell someone." "No, sir," Anna said quickly. "You will." He spoke as if stating a fact. "If not today, then tomorrow. If not with words, then with your face. Someone will see you are uneasy. Anna opened her mouth, then shut it. He was not wrong. Secrets clung to people. They showed in the way one held a tray, the way one paused at a doorway. He dipped the brush into the bucket and began scrubbing again. Scrub, scrub, scrub. The sound filled the room. Anna stood frozen, the shawl heavy on her shoulders, her bundle still clutched like a shield. After a few strokes he spoke again without looking at her. "If you help me finish," he said, "then you will have reason to be here. Not as a witness, as a servant doing her work." Anna's throat tightened. "But this is not my work, sir." "It is now," he replied. Anna stared at him, then at the brush, then at the floor. She could refuse. She could turn and run to Mrs. Hawthorne's room, bang on the door, cry out that His Royal Highness had taken leave of sense. And what would happen then? There would be whispers. There would be men in fine coats arriving to smooth everything over, and she would be the maid who saw too much, the maid who was too near, the maid who could not be trusted. She swallowed. "If I help you," she said, "will you truly send me away afterward?" The brush paused. Edward looked up at her. His eyes held something that made her chest ache. Not seduction, not command. Something nearer to helplessness, though he wore it like a man trying to hide a wound. "Yes," he said, "you may go and say nothing." Anna nodded once, sharply, as if to keep herself from trembling. "Very well, sir." She stepped forward. Her shoes touched the edge of the wetboards. The room smelled faintly of soap and damp wood. Edward watched her as if unsure she would actually do it. Anna knelt at a careful distance, her knees protesting against the hard floor. She reached for a cloth from the bucket. It was rough and cold. Edward held the brush out toward her. Anna hesitated, then took it. Their fingers did not touch. He seemed careful of that, as if touch itself was a line he would not cross. "Here," he said, indicating a section of board near the fireplace. "Along the grain." "Yes, sir." Anna set the brush down and began scrubbing. The work was not difficult, but it felt unreal. The sound of her scrubbing joined his, two rhythms in a room that should have been silent. Scrub, scrub. She tried to keep her breathing steady. Her cheeks remained hot. After a moment, she heard him speak again. "Do not look at the door every few seconds," he said. Anna startled. "Forgive me. It will only make you more obvious," he said. Anna forced herself to focus on the boards in front of her. "Yes, sir." There was a stretch of silence. Then he said, "You are thinking I am mad." Anna's hand slowed. "No, sir," she lied, then corrected herself because it felt safer to be honest with someone who saw too much already. "I do not know what to think." He gave a soft sound that might have been a laugh, but it held no amusement. "That is wiser." Anna scrubbed harder, as if effort could hide her confusion. "You truly sent the others away?" she asked, keeping her voice low. "I did. And Mrs. Hawthorne?" "She was told to take the morning in the village," he said, "to purchase supplies. She obeyed because the order carried my seal." Anna's stomach flipped. "You forged—" He glanced at her sharply. She stopped. "I mean," she corrected quickly, "you wrote an order." "Yes," he said, "an order." Anna's brush moved in circles. Her hands began to ache. "Why?" she asked again, quieter this time. Edward did not answer immediately. He dipped his cloth, wrung it out, then wiped along a board with almost punishing firmness. "Have you ever tried to sleep with a room full of people waiting to tell you what to do?" he asked. Anna blinked. The question was so strange it almost made her forget to be frightened. "I have slept with 6 other maids in one attic room," she said cautiously. "Someone is always listening." He nodded slightly as if that was close enough to his point. "In my rooms," he said, "there are always footsteps outside. Always someone ready to open a door for me, close a door for me, hand me a glass, take it away. If I cough, someone asks if I require a physician. If I sit, someone wonders if I am fatigued. If I look out a window, someone decides what I ought to be thinking." Anna's brush slowed. She could picture it. Not the luxury, but the weight of it. "That sounds stifling," she said before she could stop herself. His gaze snapped to her again, and she feared she had spoken too boldly. But he only said yes. A pause. Then, unexpectedly, he added, "And yet it is my life, the life everyone insists I should be grateful for." Anna swallowed. "You are grateful, sir. You must be." Edward's mouth tightened. "Must I?" Anna did not answer. She did not know what answer would be safe. They scrubbed in silence again, the work becoming a thin bridge between two worlds. After a while, Anna noticed the rawness of his hands more clearly. The skin was red where the brush had rubbed. His knuckles were damp and sore. "You have been doing this a long time," she said. Edward did not look at her. Long enough. Anna's throat tightened. He spoke again, very quietly. "If I keep moving," he said. "I do not think." Anna's breath caught. She kept her eyes on the boards. Thinking was not dangerous for her. It was her constant companion. But she understood, in that moment, that for him, thinking might be a room with no doors. Anna reached for the bucket to rinse the cloth. As she did, her fingers brushed something hard among the rags. She froze. Edward's scrubbing slowed, then stopped. He had noticed. Anna's fingertips touched the object again, more carefully. A small thing, round, cool against her skin. She drew it out almost without meaning to. A locket. It was plain, not bright, dulled as if it had been handled often. A thin ribbon was tied to its ring, the knot worn soft. Anna stared at it as if it had appeared from nowhere. "This," she began. Edward's face changed, his eyes fixed on the locket with the sharpness of a man seeing a ghost. "Put it down," he said. His voice was not loud. It did not need to be. Anna's fingers tightened reflexively. "I did not take it, sir. I found it." "Put it down," he repeated, and something in him held pain so tightly it made Anna's chest ache. She set it on the edge of the bucket, careful, as if it might break. Edward stared at it without reaching for it. His throat worked as if swallowing words. Anna sat back on her heels, hands wet, heart pounding. "I am sorry," she whispered. He did not answer right away. Then he said, "You were meant to see only soap and water." Anna's voice shook. "It was in the bucket." "I know." His jaw tightened. "It always is." Anna stared at him. "Always." His eyes flicked to her face, then away again. Anna's courage rose and fell like a wave. She could ask. She could keep her mouth shut. Her whole life had trained her to survive by silence. But his hands were raw and his eyes were full of something that looked like a man drowning quietly. "It is yours," she said. Not a question. "Yes," he replied. Anna's fingers twisted together. "May I? Should I?" "No." His voice softened, and that softness was more frightening than command. "Do not open it." Anna's mouth went dry. "I would not, sir." He finally reached for it, but he did not pick it up. He only touched it with 2 fingers, as if even that contact carried weight. "I should not have brought it," he said. Anna heard something in his tone that made her eyes sting, though she did not fully understand why. "You hide it in a bucket?" she asked, bewildered. His mouth tightened again. "If I put it somewhere safe, I will never touch it. If I keep it where my hands are busy, I am reminded of what I deserve." Anna's breath caught. "Sir, no one deserves." He lifted his gaze to hers, and she stopped. His eyes were steady now, almost stern, but the sternness was not aimed at her, it was aimed inward. "You do not know what I deserve," he said. Anna stared at him, then looked down quickly, ashamed of the tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. "I only know," she whispered, "that you are bleeding." "It is nothing," he said. "It is something," Anna insisted, surprising herself. Edward's expression flickered. For a moment the prince seemed to vanish, and there was only a man in a room with a brush, watched by a maid who could not pretend she saw nothing. "You speak too freely," he said, but there was no heat in it. "I speak as a person," Anna replied before she could stop it. Silence. Then Edward let out a slow breath. "Yes," he said. "So do I, in this room." Anna's heart thudded hard. She lowered her gaze again, aware of how dangerous that sentence was. Edward turned back to the floor as if turning back to safety. "Finish," he said, voice controlled. "Please." Anna nodded quickly and took the cloth again. They worked. The boards began to shine in places. The bucket water grew murky. The air felt heavier, or perhaps it was only Anna's fear settling around her shoulders. At one point, Edward shifted his weight, and a quiet sound escaped him, a small hiss of discomfort. Anna glanced up. "Your hand." "It will heal," he said. "You should wash it properly," she said. He looked at her sharply again, and Anna thought she had pushed too far, but he only said, "You speak as if you have authority." "I have none," Anna said quickly. I have seen hands become infected in the scullery. It begins small. Edward studied her face. Where were you before you came here? He asked abruptly. Anna blinked at the change of subject. Before this house? Yes. Anna's cheeks warmed. A smaller place, sir, in Kent. I was kitchen maid there. And you came here for better wages, he said, as if reading the path of her life easily. Yes, sir. Edward's mouth tightened. Better wages for harder work. Anna gave a short, nervous laugh. That is the way of it. He nodded, then looked down again. If you were offered a life with less work, he said quietly, would you take it? Anna's hands stilled. Less work? A dream. But the way he said it did not sound like an offer. It sounded like a test, or a question he was asking himself. I do not know, Anna admitted. It is what I know. It keeps one steady. Edward's gaze flicked to her again. It keeps you steady, he echoed. Yes, sir. He looked away, jaw working. Anna returned to scrubbing, but her thoughts ran like water. Why was he here in a country estate, alone in a silent house scrubbing floors like penance? Why was he speaking to her like she mattered? Why was a locket hidden among rags? The questions pressed at her ribs until she could hardly breathe. A sudden thought struck her, and she spoke before fear could stop her. Your Royal Highness, she said, careful again. If someone were to come, they will not, he said quickly. How can you be certain? He did not answer at once. Then he said, because I chose this place, because I ordered it so. Anna's voice shook. Orders do not always hold. His eyes met hers. For the first time since she entered the room, something like anxiety flashed there, quick and sharp. You are right, he said. Anna's throat tightened further. Then we must be careful. Edward stared at her for a beat, and something shifted between them, like a fragile agreement forming without words. Yes, he said. We must. They worked faster. Edward's movements became more controlled, as if he were trying to force the world into order through his hands. Anna's arms began to ache. Her knees were damp. She did not complain. Complaints were for people with the luxury of being heard. As they neared the last section of floor, Edward spoke again, voice lower. You will tell no one, he said. I will tell no one, Anna answered. He looked at her. Not even if they ask. Anna swallowed. They will ask? His eyes narrowed slightly. Perhaps. Anna's mouth went dry. Sir, if they ask me directly, you will say you came to work and found the room already cleaned, he said. You will say you did as you were told and went back to your duties. Anna stared. And if they press? Edward's jaw tightened. They will not press if you appear ordinary. Anna's heart began to pound again. I do not know if I can appear ordinary, she admitted in a whisper. I have never had to lie to people with power, he finished for her. Anna nodded, eyes stinging again. Edward's expression softened, just a fraction. You have had to endure worse things than lying, he said. Anna's breath caught. She did not want him to know anything about her endurance. She did not want him to see how quickly tears came when someone looked at her too closely. She scrubbed harder, blinking rapidly. You should not be here, she said, voice unsteady. Not like this. Edward's lips pressed together. And yet I am. Anna lifted her gaze, and the tears finally slipped, hot and unwelcome. Edward saw them. He went still. Do not cry, he said, and his voice sounded strained, as if her tears were a wound he did not know how to dress. Anna shook her head quickly, embarrassed. Forgive me, sir. It is foolish. It is nothing. It is not nothing, he said. Anna laughed weakly through the tears. It is only... I did not expect... I have never seen a prince with a brush, he said. Anna nodded, wiping her cheek with the back of her hand. Edward's gaze dropped to her hand, then to his own reddened knuckles. Once, he said quietly, someone told me that work is honest, that if a man's hands are busy, his heart may be quiet. Anna swallowed hard. Who told you that? Edward did not answer. His eyes drifted to the locket again, resting on the bucket. Anna's tears thickened, and she hated herself for it. Edward's voice turned clipped as if he were trying to regain control. Finish, he said again, but gentler now. Please. Anna nodded. Yes, sir. They scrubbed the final strip together, side by side but not touching, each careful of the space between them. At last Edward set his cloth down. He stood, breathing as if he had run a distance. Anna rose more slowly, her knees stiff. She kept her eyes lowered. Edward looked at the floor as if judging whether it was clean enough to satisfy an invisible accuser. Then he turned to her. "You did well," he said. Anna's throat tightened at the simple praise because it sounded too ordinary, too human. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. Edward glanced toward the corridor again. "You will go now," he said. Anna nodded quickly. "Yes, sir." She reached for her bundle, then paused, unsure what to do with the shawl around her shoulders. "I should return this," she said. Edward's eyes flicked to it. "Keep it for now." Anna's fingers tightened on the edge of the fabric. "But it belongs to the house," he said, "and the house is under my name for the moment. Keep it." Anna swallowed. "Yes, sir." Edward looked at the locket again. He picked it up at last, but he did not open it. He held it in his palm like a weight. "If anyone asks," he said, voice low, "you saw nothing." Anna nodded. "I saw nothing." Edward's eyes held hers, steady, searching. "And if anyone speaks to you," he continued, "you will answer as you always do, calmly, properly, as if your thoughts are only on your duties." Anna tried to nod again, but her neck felt stiff. "I will try," she said. Edward's jaw tightened. "No, you will do it." Anna's chest tightened too, but she forced herself to answer, as she had been trained. "Yes, Your Royal Highness." For a moment his face flickered with something like regret at the return of formality. Then he stepped back, allowing distance again. Anna turned to leave, her mind spinning, her hands still damp. She took 2 steps into the corridor. Then a sound reached them both. Not inside the house, outside. Wheels on gravel. A carriage, approaching faster than a village cart, the wheels crunching with purpose. Anna froze mid-step. Behind her, she heard Edward inhale sharply. The carriage drew nearer, the sound unmistakable now, and with it came the distant murmur of a driver's voice, the faint jingle of harness. Anna turned her head just enough to see Edward's face. The tiredness was gone. The quiet human softness vanished, as if snuffed by a wind. He moved quickly, not toward her, but toward the doorway, listening, calculating. Anna's heart hammered. "Sir," she whispered, "you said no one would come." Edward's eyes flicked to her, and the look in them was not panic, but urgency. He crossed the room in 2 strides and stopped just short of her, close enough that Anna felt the air shift. His voice dropped low, sharp with warning. "If they see me like this, you must say you saw nothing." Anna's pulse throbbed in her ears. The carriage wheels ground closer. A sharp knock sounded at the front of the house, heavy and confident, as if the visitor already owned the hallway. Edward's gaze cut past her shoulder toward the corridor. "Go," he said. Anna did not move. Her feet felt nailed to the floorboards they had just scrubbed. He stepped nearer, and for the briefest moment she thought he might take her arm. He did not. He held himself back as if touch would be another danger. "Anna," he said, and her name on his tongue felt like an order and a plea in one. "If you stand there, you will be seen. Go to the servants' wing, now." "But the bucket," she whispered. He looked at it, jaw tightening. "Leave it," he said. "Leave everything, only go." Anna's mouth went dry. "Your hands, go." His voice was not loud, but it was firm enough to shake her into motion. She turned, nearly tripping over her own feet, and hurried into the corridor with the shawl still around her shoulders, her bundle forgotten. She had barely reached the corner when Edward called after her, low and fast. "And keep your face composed." Anna pressed her palm to her cheek as if she could smooth away fear. "Yes, Your Royal Highness," she whispered to the wall, and fled. In the servants' passage, the silence was less startling now, because her breathing filled it. She hurried toward the back stair, then stopped. If the staff truly was sent away, who would open the main door? Who would take coats? Who would announce names? She heard the front door open anyway, the sound carrying faintly through the house. Someone had opened it. A driver, perhaps, or a footman brought from the palace. Voices followed, male voices, controlled, formal. Anna backed into a shadowed nook beside a linen cupboard and held her breath. Footsteps approached from the direction of the main hall, not running, not hurried, but purposeful. the kind of steps that expected corridors to part for them. Anna pressed herself closer to the cupboard, eyes lowered, hands folded as if she had been standing there all along. Two men turned the corner. One was tall, lean, neatly dressed in dark cloth with a polished air that reminded Anna of a blade, though there was no weapon in sight. His hair was trimmed, his posture stiff with practiced authority. The other wore a coat that marked him as a messenger, or perhaps a secretary carrying a small leather case. He looked around with quick, alert eyes, as if cataloguing every object that did not belong. The lean man saw Anna at once. He did not smile. "You," he said. Anna curtsied so quickly her knees protested. "Sir." His gaze swept over her, taking in the shawl, the dampness on her hands, the fact that she was alone in a corridor where she ought not to be alone. "What is your name?" he asked. Anna's throat tightened. She had already given her name once today. It felt like a test that the world insisted on repeating. "Anna Whitmore, sir." The messenger's eyes flicked toward the main hall, then back. "And where is Mrs. Hawthorne?" the lean man demanded. Anna's mind raced. Lie. Tell the truth. Find the safest version of the truth. "She was sent to the village this morning, sir," Anna said carefully. The lean man's mouth tightened as if he disliked the answer. "By whose instruction?" Anna's heart hammered. She could not say, "By the prince because he was scrubbing the floors." She curtsied again, a fraction deeper. "By His Royal Highness's instruction, sir." The messenger's brows rose slightly. The lean man's gaze sharpened. "So His Royal Highness is awake," he said, as if that were news that should have been reported. Anna kept her eyes down. "Is he alone?" the messenger asked, too quickly. Anna hesitated. It was a dangerous question hidden inside polite words. "I do not know, sir," she said, and it was almost true. The lean man took a step closer. "You are shaking," he observed. Anna forced her fingers still. "It is cold in the corridor, sir." His eyes held her for a moment, then slid past her as if she had become an object again. "Pritchard," the messenger murmured. So that was his name. Mr. Pritchard made a small sound of impatience. "You will tell Mrs. Hawthorne to present herself at once upon her return," he said, "and you will remain available if I have further questions." "Yes, sir," Anna replied. They moved on, their steps receding toward the main hall. Anna waited until she could no longer hear them before she allowed herself to breathe properly. She pressed her back to the wall and closed her eyes. Composed, she reminded herself. Composed. She opened her eyes and realized the shawl still sat on her shoulders, a soft, unmistakable sign that she had been touched by a world above hers. She slipped it off quickly and folded it over her arm, as if that would erase its presence. Then she heard the sound of someone descending the main stair. Measured steps. Familiar. Not hurried, not uncertain. Edward. Anna did not look. Looking felt like another form of being caught, but she could not help herself. She turned her head just enough to glimpse him in the distance at the edge of the corridor. He had changed. His coat was on, his collar fastened, his sleeves down, his hair smoothed, his face arranged into that calm mask she had seen from afar. Only his hands betrayed him, faintly reddened where the cuff could not quite conceal. "Mr." Pritchard's voice drifted toward Anna. "Your Royal Highness," he said, with the kind of bow that held pride in its own correctness. "We did not expect to find you here without your household present." Edward's reply was calm, cool, and perfectly placed. "My household is unnecessary for a morning of quiet. The palace expected you by midday," the messenger said. Edward did not raise his voice. "The palace expects many things. It does not always receive them." Anna's stomach clenched. Even from a distance she could feel the tension of that sentence. Mr. Pritchard's voice remained polite, but there was something sharp underneath it. "His Majesty's schedule is not a matter for debate," he said. "And yet," Edward replied, "here we are, debating it." Anna's hands tightened around the folded shawl. The messenger cleared his throat. "Your Royal Highness, we come with correspondence and instructions," he said. "We also bring a steward's concern. The house appears unattended." Edward's voice lowered a fraction. "It is attended as I require." Mr. Pritchard spoke again. "I encountered one of the maids in the corridor," he said, as if reporting a stain. "She appears uncertain of her duties." Anna's breath caught, her ears burned. Edward's pause was brief, but Anna felt it like a hand pressing at her chest. "Her duties are to serve the house," Edward said, "and she will do so." "And where is Mrs. Hawthorne?" Mr. Pritchard asked. "On an errand I assigned," Edward replied. The messenger sounded cautious. "Your Royal Highness, might we speak privately?" Edward's answer came smoothly. "You may speak. This house is empty enough for your comfort." Anna pressed her lips together. Empty enough. If they only knew. Mr. Pritchard's steps shifted, as if he turned slightly. "I was informed this estate would offer you rest," he said. "Not whims." Edward's tone did not change. "Rest is not always found in velvet chairs." Anna felt a strange pull in her chest at that, like a thread tugged too tight. The messenger said, "The palace—" Edward cut him off with a gentleness that somehow made it sharper. "The palace will wait." Silence followed, the kind that came before a polite surrender. Mr. Pritchard's voice returned, smoother. "Of course, Your Royal Highness. Then allow me to ensure the household is restored. We shall require servants." Edward's reply was immediate. "No." A pause. Mr. Pritchard spoke as if choosing his words carefully. "Your Royal Highness, the absence of staff may invite rumor." Edward's voice cooled. "I am not concerned with rumor." Anna did not see Mr. Pritchard's face, but she heard something like a smile in his tone. "Rumor is often concerned with you, sir." Another pause. Then Edward's voice, quiet as a closing door. "You have brought correspondence. Deliver it. Then leave me." The messenger's voice turned uneasy. "Your Royal Highness, there are matters—" Edward's voice rose slightly, not in anger but in authority. "You will deliver the correspondence. Then you will leave." Anna's fingers loosened and tightened again. She had never heard him speak like that. Not in the room with the scrub brush, not as a man, as a prince. The footsteps began moving again, and Anna realized the men were passing nearer, crossing toward the library. She shrank back into her nook, eyes lowered. Mr. Pritchard passed first. His gaze swept the corridor again and landed on her, a quick pinning glance that made her skin prickle. He said nothing, but the look felt like a note folded into a pocket. "I have seen you." The messenger followed, quieter, his eyes forward. Then Edward passed. His gaze flicked toward Anna for only an instant. In that brief glance there was warning, and something softer beneath it. "Do not move," his eyes seemed to say. Anna did not move. They disappeared into the library. The door closed. Hannah stayed still until she was certain no one would come back out and catch her breathing. Then she took the shawl in both hands and hurried toward the servants' wing, as if fleeing the weight of being noticed. In the kitchen, the emptiness struck her again. No cook, no kitchen maid, no clatter of breakfast, only the ticking of a clock and the faint crackle of dying embers. Anna set the shawl over a chair, then stood in the middle of the room with no idea what to do next. If Mrs. Hawthorne was away, who would assign tasks? Who would scold her into normalcy? The front bell rang again distantly, and Anna flinched. She forced herself to move. She filled a kettle. She set it over the fire. She reached for cups, as if the simple actions could steady her. Her hands shook so badly she nearly dropped a saucer. "Steady," she whispered. "Steady." A voice sounded behind her, and she nearly jumped out of her skin. "Anna." She turned. It was Thomas, one of the younger footmen, breathless, coat half-fastened. "You're here," he said, eyes wide. "How are you here?" "We were told—" "Told to go?" Anna asked quickly. "Yes, yesterday evening. His Royal Highness's seal and everything. Half the staff left at dawn to visit family or take the morning off. Mrs. Hawthorne went to the village." Thomas looked around the empty kitchen. "What is happening?" Anna shook her head. "I do not know." Thomas frowned. "But you must. You're here." "I came early," Anna said. "That is all." He stared at her, then lowered his voice. "They say a palace carriage arrived. Pritchard is with them." Anna felt her stomach drop again. "Yes." Thomas leaned closer. "What did they want?" Anna swallowed. "I do not know." Thomas studied her face. "You look as if you've seen a ghost," he said. Anna forced a small, weak smile. "I have only seen a floor that needed scrubbing." Thomas blinked. "A floor?" Anna turned away to fuss with the kettle. "Go," she said softly. "If you were sent away, you should not be here." Thomas hesitated. "But—" "Go," Anna repeated, and there was a pleading edge to it she could not hide. Please. Thomas's eyes narrowed with suspicion, but he nodded slowly. All right, he murmured. But if Mrs. Hawthorne asks, I was never here. Anna nodded without turning. Of course. He slipped out. Anna exhaled shakily and stared into the kettle as if it contained answers. Footsteps sounded again, this time heavier. Approaching the kitchen, Anna straightened quickly, hands clasped, face composed as best she could. Mr. Pritchard entered without announcing himself, as if the servants' spaces were his by right. The messenger followed, holding the leather case. Mr. Pritchard's gaze swept the kitchen. You are alone, he said. Anna curtsied. Yes, sir. He looked at the kettle. Make tea. The prince will require it. Yes, sir. The messenger said nothing, only watched her with alert eyes. Anna poured water carefully, forcing her hands to steady. Mr. Pritchard moved closer, stopping a respectful distance away that still felt intrusive. You said your name was Anna Whitmore, he said. Yes, sir. You have been in this house how long? 3 months, sir. Before that? Kent, Anna replied, keeping her voice neutral. Mr. Pritchard hummed softly, as if assessing her worth. And this morning, he continued, where exactly did you come upon His Royal Highness? Anna's pulse spiked. She kept her gaze on the cups. In the corridor, sir, she said. Mr. Pritchard's tone remained mild. Which corridor? Anna forced herself not to hesitate. The corridor near the main hall, she said. I was coming to the kitchen. Mr. Pritchard tilted his head slightly. And why were your hands wet? Anna lifted her chin just enough to speak clearly. I was preparing to begin work, sir. That does not wet one's hands, he observed. Anna swallowed. She could feel the messenger's eyes on her. The kettle was heavy, she said. I spilled a little. Mr. Pritchard stared at her. Then he nodded slowly. How clumsy, he said. Anna's cheeks burned. The messenger cleared his throat, as if uncomfortable. Pritchard, he murmured, low. Mr. Pritchard waved a hand slightly, as if dismissing the caution. Very well, he said to Anna. Bring the tray to the library. Yes, sir. Anna arranged the tea with hands that wanted to betray her. She carried the tray carefully, step by step, as if balancing her entire life on porcelain. In the corridor near the library, she paused and listened. Voices murmured inside. Edward's voice, controlled. The messenger's voice, cautious. Mr. Pritchard's voice, smooth and persistent. Anna knocked softly. Enter, Edward called. She stepped in, eyes lowered, tray steady. The library smelled of paper and polished wood. Anna did not look around. She placed the tray on a side table as she had been trained. Edward stood by the mantel, one hand resting lightly there as if anchoring himself. He did not look at Anna, but she felt the awareness in the room like a thread. Mr. Pritchard sat in a chair with permission he had not earned, legs crossed, posture too comfortable for someone who served. The messenger stood near a desk, papers in hand. Anna poured tea silently. Edward finally spoke, his voice calm. That will be all. Anna curtsied. Yes, Your Royal Highness. As she turned to leave, Mr. Pritchard added almost casually, Do send for Mrs. Hawthorne when she returns. The household cannot run itself. Anna paused, then answered without turning. Yes, sir. She left quickly, heart pounding. In the servants' corridor, she nearly collided with Mrs. Hawthorne herself. The housekeeper's arms were full of parcels, her cheeks flushed from cold and irritation. Anna Whitmore, Mrs. Hawthorne snapped. Why is the servants' entrance unlatched? Anna curtsied, startled. I arrived, ma'am, and it was— Mrs. Hawthorne cut her off. And why is it silent in my kitchen? Where is everyone? They were sent away, ma'am, Anna said, keeping her voice respectful. By His Royal Highness. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes widened, then narrowed. By His Royal Highness, she repeated, as if tasting the words. And you are here because— I came early, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne's gaze swept Anna from cap to shoes, landing on her damp skirt hem, her reddened hands. You look as if you have been at work already, she said. Anna's mouth went dry. I have only begun, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne's lips pressed together. Do not answer in riddles, she said sharply. Where have you been this morning? Anna kept her eyes down. In the corridor near the main hall, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne's nostrils flared. And why, she said, voice low and dangerous. Were you in that corridor? Anna felt the world tilt. She chose her words carefully. I was sent to bring tea, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes flicked up, startled by that, then hardened again. You were sent by whom? Anna's throat tightened. By Mr. Pritchard, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne's mouth thinned. Mr. Pritchard has no authority in my household, she said. He may speak as if he does, but he does not. And you, Anna Whitmore, have even less. Yes, ma'am, Anna whispered. Mrs. Hawthorne moved closer, lowering her voice. Do you know what happens to girls who wander where they are not meant to wander? She asked. Anna's stomach clenched. No, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne's gaze was sharp enough to cut. They become stories, she said, and stories are not kind to girls like you. Anna's eyes stung. I did not wander, ma'am, she said. I only obeyed. Mrs. Hawthorne made a small sound of disbelief. You will obey me now, she said. You will go to the scullery. You will scrub every pot left from last night. Then you will clean the servants' stair. And you will not set foot in the family wing again unless I send you. Yes, ma'am, Anna said quickly, grateful for a task even as humiliation burned in her chest. Mrs. Hawthorne's voice tightened further. And take that shawl off, she added, glancing at the folded fabric Anna still carried from the kitchen chair. That is not for you. Anna's hands tightened around it. Yes, ma'am. She offered it up at once. Mrs. Hawthorne took it, inspected it, then sniffed as if checking for something improper. Where did you get this? She demanded. Anna's heart jumped. It was on a chair, ma'am, she lied, and hated herself for it, though she did not know why. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes narrowed. On a chair, she repeated. In what room? Anna's mouth went dry. In the corridor, she said, forcing steadiness. Near the main hall. Mrs. Hawthorne studied her for a long moment, then gave a sharp nod as if deciding something. Go, she said, before I find more questions on you than work. Anna curtsied. Yes, ma'am. She hurried to the scullery and set herself to scrubbing pots until her arms ached. The repetitive work steadied her at first. Pots did not ask questions. Pots did not look at her as if they saw through her skin. But even there, whispers found her. A pair of maids arrived later, returning from their unexpected morning off, cheeks rosy from the cold. They stopped when they saw Anna alone at the scrub board. Why are you here? One asked, eyes bright with curiosity. We were told we could go. I came early, Anna said without looking up. The other maid leaned closer. Did you see him? She whispered. Anna's hands tightened around a pot. See who? The prince. The maid breathed, as if saying it might summon him. They say he's here. They say palace men came. They say Mrs. Hawthorne is in a fury. Anna kept scrubbing. I saw nothing, she said. The first maid's eyes narrowed. You always say nothing, she replied, half admiring, half suspicious. Anna did not answer. Soon enough, Thomas slipped into the scullery again, pretending to check a shelf while glancing at Anna. Mrs. Hawthorne appeared at the doorway, sharp-eyed. Thomas, she snapped, why are you underfoot? Return to your duties. Thomas bowed his head quickly and fled. Mrs. Hawthorne's gaze pinned Anna. And you, she said, scrub faster. If you have energy for wandering, you have energy for work. Yes, ma'am. Anna scrubbed until her hands were red. She did not complain. Complaining gave people permission to judge her. By late afternoon, Mrs. Hawthorne assigned her to empty the slops, wipe down the back stair rail, and fetch fresh water. Task after task, each one low and unending, as if meant to remind her where she belonged. When Anna carried a pail toward the backyard, she paused near the small washroom where buckets were kept. The sight of a cleaning bucket made her stomach twist. She forced herself to keep moving. In the washroom, she set her pail down and reached for an empty bucket. Her fingers brushed damp rags set aside on a bench. She froze. There, half hidden among the cloths, lay the same plain locket, dulled and quiet, tied to its thin ribbon. Anna's breath caught. It should have been with him. It should have been locked away in some princely drawer. Instead, it rested among rags, as if it belonged to the lowest work of the house. Anna stared at it, heart pounding. She did not touch it this time. She only looked, as if looking alone might be a betrayal. Behind her, a servant's voice startled her. Anna! Anna spun quickly, hands raised as if caught stealing air. It was one of the older maids, Margaret, carrying linens. What are you doing standing there? Margaret asked, frowning. Mrs. Hawthorne is looking for you. I was getting a bucket, Anna said quickly. Margaret's gaze flicked past Anna to the bench. Anna's whole body tightened. Margaret stepped closer, peered down, then drew back with a puzzled look. "What's that?" she asked. Anna's mouth went dry. She forced herself to sound careless. "A trinket," she said. "Someone left it." Margaret reached out. Anna's heart lurched, but Margaret did not touch it. She only leaned closer, then shook her head. "Not mine," she said, "and I've no time for other people's foolishness. Come along, Mrs. Hawthorne has the look of thunder." Anna nodded too quickly. "Yes, of course." Margaret left, muttering about disorder in the house. Anna waited until she was alone again. Then she stared at the locket once more. A foolishness, Margaret had called it. Anna's eyes stung. Foolishness did not make a prince scrub floors with hands rubbed raw. She turned away abruptly, snatched up the bucket she came for, and left the washroom without touching the locket. She could not bear to feel its cool weight again. In the corridor, she nearly ran straight into Mr. Pritchard. He stood with papers in hand, speaking quietly with the messenger near the main stair. When Anna appeared, both men paused. Mr. Pritchard's gaze slid over her, lingering a moment too long. "There you are," he said. Anna curtsied, heart hammering. "Sir." Mr. Pritchard held out one of the papers. "Take this to Mrs. Hawthorne," he said. "She is to ensure the prince's rooms are in order." Anna took the paper carefully. "Yes, sir." Mr. Pritchard's voice lowered. "And see that you do not wander," he added, as if kindly advising. "This house has become delicate." Anna's cheeks burned. "Yes, sir." She hurried away before she could tremble visibly. In the servants' hall at supper, the whispers grew sharper. The staff who had returned looked hungry for explanation. "Why did we all get sent away?" someone asked. "They said the prince wanted quiet," another answered. "Quiet," a third scoffed, "with palace men arriving." Anna kept her eyes on her plate. Thomas leaned close across the table. "Did he speak to you?" he whispered. Anna's fork paused. "No," she said. Thomas's eyes narrowed. "You're lying." Anna's stomach tightened. "Eat your supper," she murmured. Thomas leaned closer still. "Pritchard asked about you," he whispered. "He asked why you were near the main hall. Mrs. Hawthorne is angry. You're in trouble." Anna's throat tightened. "I know." Thomas watched her face. "What did you see?" he asked again, softer now. Anna finally lifted her eyes, not at Thomas, but past him, as if speaking to the room itself. "I saw nothing," she said clearly. Thomas fell silent, though his gaze remained fixed on her with a mixture of frustration and concern. After supper, Anna returned to her chores. Mrs. Hawthorne made her scrub the back stair again, then polish the rail, then fold linens until her fingers ached. At last, when the house settled and lamps were lowered, Anna slipped down a corridor with a basket of cloths, heading toward the storage room. She heard voices ahead and stopped short, pressing herself into a shadowed corner. Mr. Pritchard and the messenger stood near the open door of a small study, speaking in low tones. Anna held her breath. "You must be direct," Mr. Pritchard said. The messenger sounded uneasy. "I have been as direct as my position allows," he replied. "His Royal Highness refuses to discuss it." Mr. Pritchard made a soft sound of impatience. "Refuses," he repeated, as if refusal were an option. "The king will not be pleased," the messenger said. "The king will be served," Mr. Pritchard answered smoothly. "And the prince will be settled. That is the purpose of this visit." The messenger hesitated. "Lady Beatrice is prepared," he said at last. "Her family expects—" "Of course they do," Mr. Pritchard replied. "This is the proper match. The announcement should be made before the month is out." Anna's stomach dropped so hard she felt dizzy. "Before the month is out." The messenger lowered his voice further. "He is not himself," he said. "You see that." Mr. Pritchard's reply came cool and certain. "He is himself," he said. "He is simply indulging a private mood. It will pass once he is reminded of his obligations." "And if it does not?" the messenger asked. Mr. Pritchard's voice softened, almost kind. "Then we will remove whatever encourages it." Anna's fingers tightened around her basket. Her chest tightened too. "Remove whatever encourages it. A maid, a quiet estate, a bucket, a locket." Anna's breath turned shallow. The messenger cleared his throat. There is also the matter of staff, he said. The household is in disorder. Mr. Pritchard chuckled softly. Disorder can be corrected, he said. Some servants simply require guidance, especially the ones who become curious. Anna pressed her back to the wall. The messenger hesitated. There was a maid, he said cautiously. One in the corridor. She looked frightened. Mr. Pritchard's voice sharpened just a fraction. Yes, he said. Anna Whitmore. I noticed her. Anna's throat closed. She may be nothing, the messenger said. Mr. Pritchard replied, Nothing becomes something when it is in the wrong place at the wrong time. Anna could not breathe. The messenger said, We should not make accusations without cause. Mr. Pritchard answered, I do not accuse, I observe, and I report. A small silence followed. Then Mr. Pritchard said, Tomorrow we ensure the prince returns, and we ensure the household is properly managed. No more empty corridors, no more chance encounters. Anna squeezed her eyes shut. She felt suddenly like a child again, too small in a house too big. The messenger sighed. I will speak to His Royal Highness again, he said. He must understand the engagement is inevitable. Mr. Pritchard's tone warmed with satisfaction. Good, he said. It will be announced, and the palace will breathe easier. Anna's eyes stung. She did not know why the idea of an engagement should hurt her. She did not want him. She did not even know him. But she remembered his hands, raw and stubborn, and his voice saying, If I keep moving, I do not think. She remembered the locket among rags like a prayer hidden in dirt. She pressed her hand to her mouth and waited until her breathing steadied. When the men finally moved away, Anna slipped down the corridor in the opposite direction, her basket held tight as if it could keep her from breaking apart. She reached the servants' stair and climbed quietly to the attic rooms where the maids slept. Her small room felt colder than usual. She shut the door behind her, leaned her forehead against it, and closed her eyes. You must be ordinary, she whispered to herself. You must be ordinary. She washed her hands, she brushed her hair, she folded her dress for tomorrow. She moved through her routine like a person pretending she had not heard her own name spoken as a problem to be corrected. When she finally sat on the edge of her narrow bed, the quiet pressed in. Her thoughts tried to rise, wild and sharp. She forced them down. She took a breath. Then she heard a soft sound at the bottom of her door. A faint scrape. Anna froze. Her eyes went to the gap beneath the door. Something slid through. A folded piece of paper, neat and careful. Anna stared at it for a long moment, unable to move. Then she rose, crossed the room, and picked it up with fingers that trembled. No seal, no name, only a single line written in a steady hand. Meet me where the scrubbing began. Anna did not sleep. She lay on her narrow bed with the paper in her hand until the letters blurred. The attic was quiet, except for the small sounds of other girls breathing. Every time a board creaked, Anna's heart jumped as if someone had come for her. Meet me where the scrubbing began. No name, no seal. Yet she knew. She did not want to know. Knowing was what got a maid dismissed. Knowing was what got a maid talked about until she could not hold her head up in any kitchen. But she also knew what it felt like to be spoken of like an object. Remove whatever encourages it, Mr. Pritchard had said. Curious servants. Nothing becomes something. She pressed the paper to her chest. At last, before dawn, she rose. She dressed quietly, tied her cap with hands that did not stop shaking, and slipped out. The hall outside the attic rooms was dim. She walked as if the floor itself might accuse her. Down the servants' stair, through the corridor, past the kitchen door. The house was quieter than yesterday, but not empty. A faint light glowed somewhere below. Someone was awake. Anna paused at the turn that led toward the room where it all began. She listened. No voices, no footsteps. Only the distant ticking of a clock. She walked. The door stood nearly closed this time, not ajar. A thin line of light showed beneath it. Anna's throat tightened. She raised her hand to knock, then hesitated. Before she could decide, the door opened from within. Edward stood there, already dressed, coat neat, collar fastened. Only his eyes gave him away. They looked as if he had not slept either. He did not speak at once. He simply looked at her as if checking that she was real. Then he stepped aside. Come in, he said quietly. Anna entered. keeping her gaze down. Her shoes made almost no sound on the cleaned boards. The bucket and brush were gone. The room looked ordinary now, which somehow made it more unsettling. Edward closed the door himself. Anna clasped her hands in front of her apron. "Your Royal Highness," she began, voice thin. "I received a note." "I wrote it," he said. Anna swallowed. "You should not have." He did not argue. He only said, "You came anyway." "I should not have," she replied, almost in the same tone. A silence stretched between them. Not comfortable, not hostile, simply full. Edward broke it. "Did Pritchard speak to you again?" he asked. Anna's mouth went dry. "Yes, sir." "What did he ask?" Anna hesitated. Then she forced herself to answer plainly. "He asked where I found you," she said. "He asked why my hands were wet. He asked questions that sounded small but felt sharp." Edward's jaw tightened. "And Mrs. Hawthorne?" he asked. "She punished me," Anna said. The words came out flat, as if describing the weather. "She thinks I wandered." Edward's gaze fixed on her. "Did you?" he asked. Anna's cheeks burned. "I followed the sound," she admitted. "I should not have." Edward held her gaze. "And when you saw me," he said, "what did you think?" Anna's throat tightened. She had never been asked what she thought by anyone who mattered. In most houses, a maid's thoughts were something to be corrected. "I thought I was dreaming," she said. Edward's lips pressed together. Then he nodded as if that answer was fair. "And after the dreaming passed?" he asked. Anna's hands twisted together. "I thought you were unhappy," she said carefully. Edward let out a slow breath. "That is a polite word," he said. Anna lifted her eyes, just for a moment. "What word would you use?" she asked softly. Edward's gaze moved to the window, though the curtains were drawn. "Trapped," he said. Anna's chest tightened. He looked back at her. "Do you think less of me?" he asked. The question landed hard. Anna stared at him, startled. "Less?" she repeated, almost whispering. "Yes," he said, "because you saw me on my knees." Anna's throat worked. She could have lied, that would be safest, but something in his face made lying feel cruel. "I thought it was wrong," she said. "Not wrong of you. Wrong that you had to be alone to do it." Edward's brow furrowed slightly. "You are careful," he said. "I have to be," Anna replied before she could stop herself. Edward watched her, then nodded once. "Yes," he said. "You do." Another silence. Edward's voice lowered. "I am going back today," he said. Anna's stomach turned. "Back to the palace?" she asked. Edward nodded. "Pritchard will insist," he said, "and the messenger will carry every word I say like a parcel back to my father." Anna's heart beat faster. "And the engagement," she said, unable to stop the words. "They said it would be announced." Edward's gaze sharpened. "They said that where?" Anna froze. She had slipped. "I heard them," she admitted, voice small. "In a corridor. I should not have listened." Edward's jaw tightened. For a moment he looked as if he might scold her. Instead he said, "You were right to listen." Anna blinked. "Sir?" He turned away as if the room had become too small. "They speak as if my life is a ledger," he said. "Numbers to be arranged, names to be placed in neat columns." Anna's fingers tightened. "It is not your place to discuss such things with me," she said, trying to put the distance back where it belonged. Edward turned to face her again. "No," he agreed softly. "It is not." He stepped closer, then stopped himself again, careful of space. "But you are already involved," he said. Anna's breath caught. "I am not," she insisted quickly. "I am only—" "You saw me," he said, "and you did not run." Anna's eyes stung. She pressed her lips together. Edward's gaze dropped to her hands. "Your hands are red," he observed. Anna looked down and realized they were. Work did that. Life did that. "It is nothing," she said automatically. Edward's mouth tightened. "Everything in this house becomes nothing," he said. "If it belongs to someone like you." Anna flinched at the bluntness. "I am not asking for pity," she said, voice tightening. "And I do not want it." Edward held her gaze. "I am not offering pity," he replied. "I am telling you what I see." Anna's throat tightened more. She did not know what to do with a prince who spoke like that. She took a small breath. "Why did you write to me?" she asked. Edward's eyes flicked to the door, then back. Because Pritchard noticed you, he said. Because Mrs. Hawthorne punished you. Because I caused it. Anna's stomach dropped. You did not ask me to follow the sound, she protested. But I asked you to keep silent, he said, and now your silence has a cost. Anna looked down. Silence always has a cost. Edward's face softened, almost painfully. Yes, he said. It does. A pause. Then Anna asked the question she had been holding since yesterday. The locket, she said quietly. Why was it in the bucket? Edward's eyes narrowed, and the softness vanished. You saw it again, he said. Anna's pulse jumped. In the washroom, she admitted. I did not touch it, I swear it. Edward watched her for a long moment. I believe you, he said finally. Anna's breath trembled out. I should not have even looked, she whispered. Edward turned away again as if her words made the room tilt. I put it where I cannot pretend it does not exist, he said. Anna's voice shook. And what is in it? Edward's head lifted slightly, as if the question struck him physically. He did not look at her. It is a memory, he said. Anna swallowed. A lady, she asked, then wished she could pull the word back. Edward's voice went very quiet. A woman, he said. The difference mattered. Anna felt it in her ribs. He turned to face her at last. I will not speak her name to you, he said. Not because you are unworthy, because I am. Anna's eyes stung again. Sir, you should not say such a thing. I should not say many things, he replied. Anna's hands twisted together. What happened? She asked, barely a whisper. Edward's jaw worked, as if he were swallowing something bitter. I obeyed, he said. Anna blinked. Obeyed? I obeyed what was expected, he said. I obeyed what was demanded. I obeyed until obedience became a sort of cruelty. Anna stared, Edward's eyes fixed on a point above her shoulder, as if he could not bear to look directly at her while speaking. I was told the crown could not endure a certain attachment, he said carefully, so I ended it. Anna's breath caught. You ended it, she repeated, voice thin. Edward nodded once, sharp. Yes. And she, Anna began, then stopped, afraid. Edward's voice lowered further. She went away, he said, and later she was gone. Anna's chest tightened so suddenly she had to put a hand to her apron. Gone, she whispered. Edward's eyes flashed toward hers. Pain sat there, controlled and contained. You understand now, he said. Why I scrub, why I keep my hands raw. Anna shook her head slowly. No, she said, voice trembling. I do not understand. I hear you. Edward looked at her, as if those were not the same thing at all. A sound came from somewhere in the house, a distant door closing. Anna startled. Edward's head turned slightly. We do not have long, he said. Anna swallowed, forcing steadiness. Then why speak to me at all? She asked. Why not speak to a priest, or Dr. Linton, or anyone who... Because you are not paid to flatter me, Edward said. Anna blinked. And because, he added more quietly, you looked at me yesterday as if I were a man. Anna's cheeks warmed painfully. I did not mean... I know what you meant, he said. You meant nothing. You meant the truth, that I looked foolish and human and wrong. Anna's eyes stung again. She blinked hard. Edward's voice softened. I do not want to be a ghost in my own life, he said. Anna's throat tightened. You are not a ghost, she said, though she did not know if she believed it. Edward's gaze held hers. Not in this room, he replied. Footsteps sounded faintly outside, far away. Anna tensed. Edward moved toward the door, listened, then returned. Go back, he said, and be ordinary. Do you understand me? Anna nodded quickly. Yes, sir. Edward's jaw tightened. And if Pritchard speaks to you again, he said, you will say nothing that gives him a hook. Anna swallowed. Yes, sir. She hesitated, then asked, Will you truly return today? Edward's eyes flicked down to his hands, then back. I will, he said, but not as they expect. Anna did not know what that meant, and she did not dare ask. Edward stepped aside. Go, he said again, softer, before your kindness becomes your ruin. Anna's chest tightened at the word kindness. She did not feel kind. She felt afraid. She curtsied. Yes, your Royal Highness. As she turned to leave, his voice stopped her. Anna. She paused, hand on the door. Edward's voice was low. "I am sorry," he said. Anna's throat tightened. She did not trust herself to answer, so she only nodded and slipped out. The next hours moved like a river that refused to slow. Mrs. Hawthorne kept Anna under watch. She assigned her tasks that left no chance for wandering: floors, rails, linen, water, always within sight. At midday, the messenger's carriage left. Anna watched from a corridor corner as it rolled away. Mr. Pritchard remained. That alone made Anna's skin prickle. In the afternoon, Mrs. Hawthorne summoned the maids to the lower hall. "You will be on your best behavior," she said sharply. "His Royal Highness departs before supper. The house will not be shamed by idle hands or idle mouths." "Yes, ma'am," the maids answered in a chorus. Mrs. Hawthorne's gaze landed on Anna. "And you," she said, "will remain in the back portion of the house unless I send you forward." Anna curtsied. "Yes, ma'am." Mrs. Hawthorne narrowed her eyes. "I have heard whispering," she said. "If I catch any of you feeding it, I will see you gone." The younger maids looked down quickly. Anna said nothing. After the hall dismissed, Margaret caught Anna by the elbow near the linen closet. "You're pale," Margaret murmured, "and you've been kept like a dog on a short lead all day." "I am fine," Anna said. Margaret's eyes sharpened. "You're not," she replied. "But you're stubborn. I'll give you that." Anna tried to smile. It did not work. Margaret lowered her voice. "Pritchard asked about the washroom," she said. Anna's stomach dropped. "What?" she whispered. Margaret nodded, lips thin. "He asked why there were rags left on the bench. He asked if anything was missing. Mrs. Hawthorne said no. He did not look convinced." Anna's mouth went dry. "Did he say what he thought was missing?" Margaret shook her head. "No," she replied, "but he looked at you when he asked." Anna's chest tightened. "Margaret," she whispered, "if someone asks about a small trinket." Margaret's brows rose. "A trinket," she repeated. "Is that what you call it now?" Anna's cheeks burned. "I do not know what it is," she insisted. "I only saw it." Margaret studied her. "Anna Whitmore," she said slowly, "you keep your head down so well that when you look up, it must be for something important." Anna's throat worked. "I did not take anything," she whispered. Margaret's gaze softened a fraction. "I believe you," she said, "but belief does not protect you from people who prefer a story." Anna's hands shook. "What should I do?" she asked before she could stop herself. Margaret sighed. "Do nothing," she said. "Nothing is what keeps you employed." Anna nodded, swallowing hard. "Yes," she whispered. "Nothing." Later, while Anna carried folded linens down the back stair, Mrs. Hawthorne called her into the pantry. Anna entered and curtsied. "Yes, ma'am?" Mrs. Hawthorne stood with her arms crossed, face set. "Have you ever been accused of theft?" she asked abruptly. Anna's blood went cold. "No, ma'am," she said, voice strained. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes narrowed. "Not once?" she pressed. "No, ma'am." Mrs. Hawthorne watched her for a long moment, then spoke low. "Mr. Pritchard believes something is missing from the prince's belongings," she said. Anna's stomach turned. "I do not know anything about that," Anna said quickly. Mrs. Hawthorne's voice sharpened. "You know nothing about anything," she said. "That is what you keep saying." Anna's chest tightened. "I truly do not," she pleaded. Mrs. Hawthorne leaned closer. "Listen to me," she said. "If Mr. Pritchard decides to make an example, he will not choose a footman. He will not choose me. He will choose the girl with no family name worth mentioning." Anna's eyes stung. "Yes, ma'am," she whispered. Mrs. Hawthorne's tone changed, colder. "So if you have been foolish," she said, "if you have picked up something you ought not, you will tell me now. I can dismiss you quietly. Better that than public disgrace." Anna's throat closed. "I have picked up nothing," she said, forcing the words out. Mrs. Hawthorne searched her face. "Swear it," she said. Anna's hands trembled. "I swear it, ma'am," she said. Mrs. Hawthorne held her gaze another moment, then stepped back, jaw tight. "Very well," she said. "Then keep yourself spotless." "Even your thoughts?" Anna curtsied. "Yes, ma'am." She left the pantry with her knees weak. By late afternoon, the household gathered in tense quiet as Edward's departure neared. The front hall stood ready. A carriage waited. A footman brought from elsewhere stood stiff at the door. Mr. Pritchard moved through the house as if measuring each corridor for faults. Anna kept to the back portion as ordered, but even there she heard the murmur of voices. "He is leaving," someone whispered. "Good," another replied. "This house has been strange since he arrived." Anna scrubbed a rail until her arms trembled. She tried to make herself invisible inside the motion, but invisibility did not work. A maid appeared at the back door, breathless. "Anna," she hissed. "Mrs. Hawthorne wants you now." Anna's stomach tightened. She followed the maid through the corridor, heart pounding, hands damp from work. They reached the small sitting room near the pantry where Mrs. Hawthorne sometimes received tradesmen. Inside stood Mrs. Hawthorne and Mr. Pritchard. Anna froze. Mr. Pritchard's gaze slid over her like a cold cloth. "Ah," he said. "Here she is." Anna curtsied so low her neck ached. "Sir." "Ma'am." Mrs. Hawthorne's mouth was tight. "Stand straight," she snapped. Anna obeyed, hands clasped, eyes down. Mr. Pritchard held something in his gloved hand. Anna recognized it immediately. The plain locket, the worn ribbon. Her breath stopped. "Mrs." Hawthorne's voice was sharp with controlled fury. "Mr. Pritchard says this was found in the washroom among rags," she said. "He says it belongs to His Royal Highness." Anna's throat closed. She could not speak. Mr. Pritchard's tone was mild, almost kind. "It is a simple question," he said. "Did you take it?" Anna forced air into her lungs. "No, sir," she said hoarsely. Mr. Pritchard tilted his head. "Did you touch it?" he asked. Anna's hands shook. "I saw it," she admitted, because lying would only tangle the trap tighter. "I did not touch it." Mrs. Hawthorne's face hardened. "You saw it and left it?" she demanded. "Yes, ma'am." Mr. Pritchard hummed softly. "How interesting," he said. "A maid notices a missing personal item and does not report it." Anna's chest tightened. "I did not know it was missing," she said. "I did not know it belonged to anyone. I only saw it and thought it was someone's trinket." Mr. Pritchard's lips curved slightly. "And yet you noticed it," he said. "Not everyone notices trinkets among rags." Anna's eyes stung. "I notice because I clean," she said, voice trembling but honest. "We see everything because we must." Mrs. Hawthorne's jaw tightened. "Do not speak back," she snapped. Mr. Pritchard lifted a hand as if calming a child. "No harm," he said. "She is only defending herself. That is what guilty people often do." Anna's stomach lurched. "I am not guilty," she said, a whisper. Mr. Pritchard stepped closer, still polite, still mild. "Then explain," he said, "why you were seen near the family wing yesterday morning. Why you were the only maid present when His Royal Highness was unaccompanied. Why you appear again and again where you should not be." Anna's vision blurred. "I was sent with tea," she said quickly. "I did not choose to be there." "And before that?" Mr. Pritchard pressed. "Why were you in the corridor?" Anna's throat tightened. The truth sat like a stone in her mouth. "Because he was scrubbing. Because I heard. Because I looked." Mrs. Hawthorne's voice cut in, fierce. "Answer him," she commanded. Anna's hands twisted. "I came early to work," she said. "The servants' entrance was open. The house was quiet. I was going to the kitchen." Mr. Pritchard nodded slowly as if pleased. "And yet you ended near the family rooms," he said. "Curious." Anna's breath shook. "I did not," she said, then caught herself. She could not claim that. She had. She had stepped into the room. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes flashed. "You see?" she snapped. "Your tongue tangles because you are hiding something." Anna's eyes filled. "I am hiding nothing," she whispered. Mr. Pritchard's voice grew gentler still, which made it worse. "You understand, Anna Whitmore," he said. "This is not a mere trinket. It is personal. It carries meaning. If it were to be lost, it would cause distress. His Royal Highness has been strained. We must protect him from further upset." Anna's throat tightened painfully. "You want to protect him," she said before she could stop herself, and the bitterness in her voice surprised even her. "By ruining me." Mrs. Hawthorne inhaled sharply. Mr. Pritchard's eyes sharpened. "You will mind your tone," he said. Anna's cheeks burned, but she did not look down. She could not. If she looked down now, she might break apart. "I did not take it," she said, voice shaking. I did not open it. I did not even touch it. Mr. Pritchard held the locket up slightly. Then perhaps, he said, we should ask His Royal Highness. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes widened. You cannot drag the prince into, she began. Mr. Pritchard cut her off smoothly. I can, he said. It is my duty. Anna's stomach turned. He stepped toward the door. At that moment, the door opened from the other side. Edward entered. The room seemed to tighten around him. Even Mrs. Hawthorne went still. Edward's gaze moved from Mr. Pritchard's face to the locket in his hand, then to Anna's pale, trembling posture. His voice was calm. What is this? He asked. Mr. Pritchard bowed. Your Royal Highness, he said, a small matter that touches upon your possessions. This locket was found in the washroom. The maid admits she saw it. I thought it best to clarify whether it belongs to you. Edward's eyes did not leave the locket. It does, he said simply. Anna's breath caught. Mr. Pritchard's brows rose. Then you will wish it returned, he said. Edward's voice remained steady. It is returned, he said. Mr. Pritchard held it out. Edward did not take it at once. He looked at Anna. Did you take it? He asked her directly. Anna's throat closed. No, Your Royal Highness, she whispered. I swear it. Edward nodded once, as if he already knew. Then he took the locket from Mr. Pritchard's hand and closed his fingers around it. Mr. Pritchard's tone remained smooth. Then all is well, he said, except there remains the issue of why she failed to report seeing it, and why she has been repeatedly near the family wing. Edward's gaze lifted. Cool. She was near the family wing because she was working, he said. Mr. Pritchard smiled faintly. Working, he echoed. In rooms assigned to her? Edward's voice sharpened slightly. In rooms assigned to her, he said. By me. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes widened, and she looked as if she might protest. Edward did not glance at her. Mr. Pritchard kept his posture polite, but his eyes watched Edward carefully now. Your Royal Highness, he said, with respect, it is unusual for you to assign tasks directly to a maid. Edward's answer came without hesitation. It is unusual for you to question my orders, he said. A silence fell. Anna's hands shook so badly she had to clasp them tighter. Mr. Pritchard bowed again. Forgive me, he said, and his voice was honeyed. I question nothing. I only seek to protect you from impropriety. Servants speak. They always do. Edward's gaze slid to Anna, and for a breath she feared he might look at her as a problem. Instead, he said, Then servants will speak of my character, not hers. Mrs. Hawthorne made a small sound, half shock, half disapproval. Your Royal Highness, she began. Edward lifted a hand, stopping her. Anna Whitmore is not to be accused again, he said. Mr. Pritchard's smile thinned. As you wish, he said, but the household must remain orderly. Rumour thrives on disorder. Edward's voice cooled. Rumour thrives on people who feed it, he said. Mr. Pritchard bowed. Of course, he replied. Then we shall feed it nothing. Edward's gaze sharpened. Good, he said. He turned slightly, indicating the door. You may go, he told Mr. Pritchard. Mr. Pritchard did not move at once. He looked at Anna again, then back to Edward. One more matter, he said. Edward's voice carried quiet authority. Speak, he said. Mr. Pritchard's tone became formal, practiced. A party will arrive from the palace at dawn, he said, to settle your affairs and escort you back. Lady Beatrice's representatives will also be present as the engagement is to be prepared for announcement. Anna's stomach dropped. Edward's face did not change, but the air around him seemed to tighten. I did not consent to that, Edward said. Mr. Pritchard bowed slightly. It is not a matter of consent, Your Royal Highness, he replied. It is a matter of duty. Edward's fingers tightened around the locket until his knuckles whitened. Mrs. Hawthorne stood rigid, eyes darting between them. Anna felt suddenly dizzy, as if the room were tilting under her feet. Mr. Pritchard added smoothly, as if offering comfort, Do not trouble yourself. Everything will be handled properly. Even the servants. Edward's gaze flicked to Anna, and something sharp and protective flashed there. She is not to be touched, Edward said. Mr. Pritchard's smile returned, faint and unpleasant. I would never touch her, he said. I would only ensure she is placed where she belongs. Anna's throat closed. She could not breathe. Edward's voice dropped, controlled. She belongs where she is employed, he said. And she is under my protection. The room went very still. Mrs. Hawthorne looked as if she might faint. Mr. Pritchard's eyes gleamed with something that might have been triumph. Under your protection, he repeated softly. Then the palace will certainly wish to know why. Edward stepped closer by a fraction, not threatening, simply immovable. Then tell them, he said. Tell them I will not have a maid ruined to amuse a steward. Mr. Pritchard bowed, smooth as ever. As you command, he said. He turned to leave, paused at the door, and looked back once more. Dawn, he reminded them all. We will be ready. He left. The door closed. For a long moment, no one spoke. Mrs. Hawthorne found her voice first, brittle with alarm. Your Royal Highness, she whispered, you have done something most unwise. Edward did not look at her. You may go, he said. Mrs. Hawthorne hesitated, then curtsied stiffly and left, her face drawn tight with worry. Anna stood alone with him. Her knees trembled. Edward turned to her at last. Are you all right? He asked quietly. Anna's voice shook. No, she admitted, but I am standing. Edward's mouth tightened, almost a smile, though it held no joy. Yes, he said. You are. Anna swallowed hard. Why did you do that? She whispered. You did not have to speak my name. Edward's gaze held hers. Yes, he said. I did. Anna's eyes filled again, and she hated herself for it. They will take it out on me, she whispered. If not here, then later. Edward's voice was low. Then we will not give them later, he said. Anna's breath caught. What does that mean? She asked. Edward looked down at the locket in his hand, then closed it in his palm as if sealing a decision. It means, he said, that by dawn they intend to remove you from this house. The knock came before the sun had properly risen. It was not the ordinary knock of a tradesman or a village caller. It was measured, certain, and followed by the sound of more than one carriage drawing up. In the servants' wing, Anna paused with a folded sheet in her hands. Every muscle in her body tightened. Mrs. Hawthorne swept into the corridor as if she had been waiting beside the door all night. Places, she hissed. All of you. Heads down, hands ready. We will not look like a barn in front of palace eyes. A maid whispered. How many are there? Enough, Mrs. Hawthorne snapped. Anna Whitmore, you will remain with the linens. Do you hear me? Anna's throat tightened. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne's gaze held her, hard and worried at once. And you will not speak unless spoken to, she added. Yes, ma'am. Footsteps thundered through the front hall. Not running, but numerous. The house changed at once, filling with voices and movement that made it feel less like a home and more like a stage. Anna kept her eyes on her work. Fold, stack, smooth, as if a neat corner could protect her. A younger maid rushed past, breathless. They brought ladies, she whispered. With trunks. Mrs. Hawthorne's jaw tightened. Of course they did, she muttered. Then she turned sharply. Anna, take these fresh pillowcases to the guest room corridor, not the family wing. The guest corridor. Quickly. Anna picked up the folded linens. Her fingers felt numb. She walked as quietly as she could, keeping close to the wall. In the guest corridor, footmen she did not recognize carried boxes. A woman in a fine cloak swept by, speaking briskly to another. Make certain her room faces the gardens, the woman said. She must not feel she has been put away like an inconvenience. Anna kept her gaze down, but the word struck. Her. Lady Beatrice. Anna did not need to see her face to know the tone of certainty. A man's voice answered, polished and quick. Yes, madam. Everything has been arranged. Anna placed the linens on a table and turned to leave. A voice stopped her. You there? Anna froze and curtsied without looking up. Yes, ma'am? The woman stepped closer. Anna saw the hem of an expensive dress and boots that had never seen kitchen ash. Are you the housekeeper? The woman asked. No, ma'am. I am a maid. The woman's gaze swept her, quick and dismissive. Then find the housekeeper, she said. Tell her Lady Beatrice Ashford's maid requires hot water at once. Yes, ma'am. Anna hurried away, cheeks burning, not from insult exactly, but from being reminded how quickly the world decided what she was worth. At the stair landing, she nearly collided with Thomas. His face was pale. "They're everywhere," he whispered. "Pritchard is strutting like he owns the place." Anna's stomach clenched. "Where is His Royal Highness?" Thomas glanced toward the main hall. "Downstairs with a doctor." "A doctor?" Anna repeated. Thomas nodded. "Dr. Linton, I think. He came with them." Anna's heart beat harder. A physician meant concern. Concern meant decisions made over someone's head. Mrs. Hawthorne appeared at the top of the stairs, sharp-eyed. "Thomas," she snapped, "stop whispering. And you, Anna, what are you doing here? Did you deliver the linens?" "Yes, ma'am." "Then go. Lady Beatrice's people are demanding water and trays and half the world. Move." Anna curtsied and went, carrying nothing now but dread. In the kitchen, chaos had returned. Kettles hissed, girls darted. A cook brought from the palace scolded the scullery maid, as if she had always belonged there. Anna was filling a basin when Margaret slid beside her. "They brought a lady," Margaret murmured. Anna kept her eyes on the water. "I know," Margaret's voice lowered. "And Pritchard is telling everyone the prince is unwell. Not ill, just unsettled." Anna's hands tightened. "He would." Margaret nudged her gently with an elbow. "Keep your face blank." Anna swallowed. "I am trying." A voice cut across the kitchen. "You, the maid with the plain cap." Anna's stomach dropped. She turned. A young gentleman stood at the doorway, holding a small notebook. His clothing was fine but not showy. His expression was alert and careful, like a man trained to listen more than speak. "Yes, sir," Anna said, curtsying. "I am Mr. Harrow," he said. "Private secretary, I need the housekeeper." Mrs. Hawthorne appeared instantly, as if conjured by the word. "I am here," she said stiffly. "What is it, sir?" Mr. Harrow nodded, polite. "We will require a list of staff present, and assurance that no one speaks outside these walls about what they see." Mrs. Hawthorne's face tightened. "Of course." Mr. Harrow's gaze shifted briefly to Anna. "And this maid's name?" Anna's breath caught. Mrs. Hawthorne answered before Anna could. "Anna Whitmore." Mr. Harrow wrote it down. Anna felt the scratch of his pencil like a mark on her skin. "Good," he said mildly. "Please tell her she is to remain available for a few questions later." Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes flashed. "Sir, she has duties." Mr. Harrow's expression did not change. "So do we all." He turned and left. Mrs. Hawthorne rounded on Anna at once. "What did you do?" she hissed. "I did nothing," Anna whispered back. "I truly did nothing." Mrs. Hawthorne's mouth tightened. "Then you will continue doing nothing, and do it with perfect manners. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma'am." Hours passed in sharp bursts of work and sharper bursts of fear. Hot water carried, trays set, sheets smoothed, voices drifting through corridors like smoke. Anna kept hearing Lady Beatrice's voice, calm and certain. "He will see reason. This is not an ordeal. It is a duty. Tell him I am prepared to be patient but not to be ignored." Every sentence sounded like a door closing. Near midday, Mrs. Hawthorne pulled Anna aside near the pantry. "Mr. Harrow will speak with you now," she said. "Mind your tongue." Anna's mouth went dry. "Yes, ma'am." Mrs. Hawthorne marched her toward a small sitting room. The door stood open. Inside, Mr. Harrow sat with his notebook. Dr. Linton stood nearby, hands folded, face tired but kind. Edward stood by the window. He did not look at Anna at first. His posture was controlled, his expression unreadable. Yet Anna saw beneath the polish the strain that would not be ironed out. Mrs. Hawthorne curtsied. Anna followed. "You asked for her," Mrs. Hawthorne said, stiff. Mr. Harrow nodded. "Thank you. You may wait outside." Mrs. Hawthorne hesitated, as if reluctant to leave Anna alone with palace men, then obeyed. The door closed. Anna's breath turned shallow. Mr. Harrow looked at her. "Anna Whitmore." "Yes, sir." "Do you understand why you are here?" Anna forced her voice steady. "No, sir." Mr. Harrow's pencil hovered. "You were present in the family wing yesterday morning before staff returned." Anna swallowed. "I came early, sir." "And you encountered His Royal Highness alone." Anna's hands trembled. She clasped them tighter. "I did." Mr. Harrow's eyes flicked to Edward, then back. "What did you see?" he asked, tone mild. Anna's heart thudded. The room seemed to narrow. Edward spoke, calm and precise. "You will not interrogate her as if she is a criminal." Mr. Harrow lifted his brows slightly. "Your Royal Highness, I am only clarifying the situation." Dr. Linton's voice was gentle. "Perhaps we should speak plainly, Harrow. The young woman is frightened." Mr. Harrow's gaze softened a fraction. "Then let us make it simple. Anna, did you take any item belonging to His Royal Highness?" Anna's voice came out small. "No, sir." Mr. Harrow nodded. "Did you open any locket, letter, or private piece of property?" "No, sir." "And did you speak to anyone about what you saw?" Anna swallowed hard. "No, sir." Mr. Harrow's pencil moved. "Very good. Then tell me why Mr. Pritchard insists your presence is concerning." Anna's stomach tightened. Edward's voice cut in, controlled. "Because Mr. Pritchard enjoys making messes and then offering to clean them." Mr. Harrow's eyes lifted. "Your Royal Highness," Edward turned from the window. "He implied theft. He implied impropriety. He implied whatever would give him leverage." Mr. Harrow's expression remained careful. "That is a serious accusation against a steward." Edward's gaze did not waver. "It is an accurate one." Dr. Linton sighed quietly. "Pritchard is efficient, but he lacks discretion when ambition speaks louder than judgment." Mr. Harrow looked between them. "Ambition is not a crime." Edward's mouth tightened. "No. But using a servant girl as a stepping stone is a cruelty." Anna's throat closed at the word cruelty. Not shouted, not dramatic, simply stated. Mr. Harrow looked back at Anna. "Did Mr. Pritchard threaten you?" Anna hesitated. A threat could be a raised hand. It could also be a gentle voice that promised disgrace. "He asked questions," she said carefully. "He said he observed. He made me feel as if anything I said would be used against me." Mr. Harrow's pencil scratched. "Did he instruct Mrs. Hawthorne to punish you?" Anna glanced toward the door, then back. "Mrs. Hawthorne punished me for being seen. She believed I wandered." Dr. Linton's gaze softened. "And did you wander, child?" Anna's cheeks burned. "I followed a sound," she admitted. "I should not have." Edward's voice turned quieter. "You followed the sound because the house was empty." Mr. Harrow looked up sharply. "Empty? Your Royal Highness, why was the house empty?" Edward's jaw tightened. "Because I ordered it." Mr. Harrow's pencil paused. "You ordered staff away without notifying the palace?" Edward's gaze held. "Yes." Mr. Harrow looked almost startled, then controlled himself. "May I ask why?" Edward's fingers flexed at his sides, then stilled. "Because," he said, voice even, "I needed a morning where no one watched me breathe." Silence landed in the room. Even Mr. Harrow's pencil stopped. Dr. Linton spoke softly. "He has not been resting, Harrow, not in any way that matters." Mr. Harrow's expression tightened with concern. "Your Royal Highness, His Majesty is worried." Edward's voice sharpened, but not loudly. "His Majesty is worried about the crown, not about me." Mr. Harrow did not argue. He only said, "There is also Lady Beatrice." Edward's eyes cooled. "Yes, there is." Mr. Harrow cleared his throat, shifting back to the immediate matter. "Anna Whitmore, if you are dismissed today, where would you go?" Anna blinked, stunned by the question. I would find another place," she said. Mr. Harrow's gaze held hers. "Do you have family?" Anna's cheeks warmed with shame. "No, sir." Edward's voice turned firm. "You will not pry into her life." Mr. Harrow nodded slightly. "I am not prying. I am measuring the cost of Pritchard's carelessness." Anna's breath caught. Dr. Linton's tone remained calm. A dismissal would ruin her prospects. The whisper would follow her. Mr. Harrow's gaze turned thoughtful. "And Pritchard wanted her removed?" Edward answered at once. "Yes." Mr. Harrow's pencil moved again. "Then Pritchard is acting beyond his role." Edward's voice cooled further. "He will do worse, if allowed." Mr. Harrow looked up. "Do you have proof, Your Royal Highness?" Edward hesitated only a fraction. Then he said, "He instructed Mrs. Hawthorne to settle the household. He called this girl curious and implied she should be moved." Mr. Harrow's eyes narrowed. "Implied or stated?" Edward's gaze sharpened. "Stated, in the way men state things when they wish to remain clean." Dr. Linton added, "Harrow, I have known Pritchard for years. He has a talent for arranging outcomes without seeming to touch them. Mr. Harrow tapped his pencil once. Very well. He looked back at Anna. Anna Whitmore, I will ask you one final question. When you saw His Royal Highness yesterday morning, was he harmed? Was he unwell? Was he in danger? Anna's chest tightened. She heard Edward's earlier warning in her bones. Say you saw nothing. But the question was different now. It did not ask her to expose him. It asked her to defend his sanity without betraying his private grief. She chose her words with care. I was not in danger, sir, she said. He was quiet, tired, but not harmed. Mr. Harrow's gaze lingered. Then he nodded. That will do, he said. You may go. Anna curtsied quickly. Relief and fear tangled together. As she turned, Edward spoke. Anna. She stopped at once. Edward's voice was low, controlled. Thank you. Anna's throat tightened. She could not trust her voice, so she only curtsied again and left. Outside, Mrs. Hawthorne waited like a storm held behind a door. Well? She demanded. Anna kept her gaze down. I answered questions, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes searched her face. Did you disgrace us? No, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne's mouth tightened. Come with me. She marched Anna down the corridor, through the bustle, into the small room where she kept her accounts. She shut the door and turned. For a moment, she did not speak. Then, very quietly, she said, I did not want you in this. Anna blinked. Ma'am? Mrs. Hawthorne's jaw worked as if swallowing pride. I punished you yesterday, she said, because I thought you were foolish, because I thought you had stepped out of place. Anna's hands trembled. I did step out of place. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes snapped. No, the house stepped out of place and you were simply there when it happened. Anna did not know what to do with the softness in her voice. It felt unfamiliar. Mrs. Hawthorne exhaled sharply. Pritchard would happily throw you to the wolves to look useful. Anna's stomach clenched. Am I dismissed? Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes held hers, and for the first time, Anna saw something like reluctant respect. No, she said, not while the prince has decided otherwise. Anna's breath caught. Mrs. Hawthorne continued stiffly. Mr. Harrow asked me for my opinion. I told him you are steady, you work, you do not gossip. That is true, yes? Anna nodded quickly. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne's mouth tightened again. Then keep it true, for your sake. Anna swallowed. Thank you, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne looked away as if the words embarrassed her. Do not thank me, she snapped. Go, there is work. Anna curtsied and left, her chest aching in a strange way. Not relief alone, something else. The odd feeling of being seen, even by someone who usually looked through her. The afternoon brought a new kind of tension. Lady Beatrice's laughter floated in from the front rooms, controlled and sweet. Footmen moved as if their spines were rods. Mr. Pritchard hovered at the edges, always listening, always measuring. Anna carried a tray to the hall and found Mr. Harrow there, speaking quietly with Dr. Linton. Mr. Harrow glanced at her, then said to the doctor, I will speak to Pritchard. Dr. Linton's mouth tightened. Be careful. He will smile while he sharpens a pen. Mr. Harrow gave a small, humorless nod. I am accustomed to pens. Anna set the tray down and moved away. In the corridor near the library, she heard Mr. Pritchard's voice, smooth as ever. You must understand, Harrow. I acted only to protect His Royal Highness. Mr. Harrow answered, calm. You acted to protect the appearance of control. Mr. Pritchard chuckled softly. Is that not the same thing? No, Mr. Harrow said, and you will stop using servants as leverage. Pritchard's tone stayed polite. Leverage is an ugly word. It is an accurate one, Mr. Harrow replied. A pause, then Pritchard said, The maid is nothing. Mr. Harrow's reply came sharper. Nothing becomes something when you insist on making it so. Anna's breath caught. The words echoed too closely to what she had overheard before. She slipped away before she was noticed. By evening the house settled into an uneasy calm. Lady Beatrice dined with Edward in the formal room. Anna was not near enough to hear every word, but she saw the shape of it when she passed. Lady Beatrice poised, Edward controlled, two people performing courtesy with different intentions. Later, as Anna carried linens toward the back stair, she met Dr. Linton in the corridor. He paused, looking at her with a steady kindness. "You are Anna Whitmore," he said. Anna curtsied. "Yes, sir." He nodded gently. "You have been put in a difficult position." Anna's throat tightened. "It is not my place to have positions, sir." Dr. Linton's mouth softened. "Nevertheless, you have one." Anna held her linens tighter. "Am I to leave?" Dr. Linton shook his head. "Not tonight." Anna's breath trembled out. "Thank you." Dr. Linton hesitated, then said softly, "His Royal Highness is carrying old grief. He does not speak of it easily. If he spoke a little to you, do not think it was because you are responsible to fix him." Anna's eyes stung. "I would not dare." Dr. Linton's gaze held hers. "Good. Then only be what you already are, steady." Anna nodded, unable to speak. He stepped aside and continued on. Near midnight, when the lamps were lowered and the servants finally had a moment to breathe, a knock came at the kitchen door. Anna looked up from wiping a counter. Mrs. Hawthorne entered, face tight. "He asks for you," she said. Anna's stomach dropped. "Who, ma'am?" Mrs. Hawthorne did not need to say it. "The prince," she replied, almost curt. "In the small room off the library. Go now and mind yourself." Anna's hands shook. "Yes, ma'am." She walked through corridors that felt too quiet again, as if the house were listening. At the library door she paused. A voice inside said, "Come." Anna entered. Edward stood near a small table with a single lamp. His coat was off, but his shirt was proper, his hair neat. The locket lay closed on the table, not hidden, not among rags. He looked up as Anna curtsied. "You came," he said. "I was told to," Anna replied softly. Edward's mouth tightened, almost a smile. "Always obedient," he said. Anna lifted her head. "Obedience keeps one fed, sir." Edward's gaze held hers. "And does it keep one whole?" Anna's breath caught. "Not always." Edward nodded once as if that answer confirmed something. "You were questioned today," he said. "Yes, Your Royal Highness." "And you did not break," he said. Anna's hands twisted together. "I wanted to." Edward's voice softened. "I know." A pause, then he said, "Pritchard will be reassigned." Anna blinked. "Reassigned?" Edward nodded. "Mr. Harrow will see to it, not because of you alone, because of what he attempted." Anna's throat tightened. "Then I am safe?" Edward looked at her steadily. "Safer." Anna swallowed hard. "Lady Beatrice is still here." Edward's eyes cooled slightly. "Yes." Anna forced herself to ask the question that sat like a stone in her chest. "And the engagement?" she whispered. Edward's gaze dropped briefly to the locket, then lifted again. "They want it," he said. "They have wanted it for years, but wanting is not the same as having." Anna's breath shook. "They will insist." Edward stepped a fraction closer, careful, still not touching. "They can insist," he said quietly. "And I can refuse." Anna's heart thudded. "Can you?" Edward's voice was low, firm. "Yes." Anna stared at him, and for a moment she forgot to be afraid. Then fear returned like cold water. "If you refuse," she whispered, "they will look for reasons. They will look for blame. They will look at me." Edward's gaze sharpened with something protective. "I will not allow you to be hidden," he said, "and I will not allow you to be blamed." Anna's chest tightened. "Those are fine words, sir, but I am only a maid." Edward's voice gentled. "No. You are a woman who stood in a room with a prince on his knees and did not use it to climb." Anna's eyes stung. "I would not know how." Edward's mouth softened, then steadied again. "I'm going to make changes," he said. "Not tonight, not with shouting, with decisions." Anna's voice trembled. "What sort of decisions?" Edward hesitated, then spoke plainly. "First," he said, "you will not be dismissed. Not now, not later. If you ever leave this house, it will be by choice or by respectable arrangement, not by rumor." Anna's breath caught. "Respectable arrangement." Edward nodded. "A position elsewhere, if you wish it. A reference you can trust. Wages paid. A life not ruined." Anna's throat tightened so much she could barely speak. "And what do you want?" she asked before she could stop herself. Edward's gaze held hers. "I want," he said quietly, "to stop being a man who obeys until he becomes cruel." Anna's breath trembled out. He gestured toward the chair across from him. "Sit." Anna hesitated. Sitting in a room with him felt improper, but he did not look like a man indulging impropriety. He looked like a man trying to do something right. Anna sat on the edge of the chair, posture rigid. Edward remained standing, as if sitting would make him feel too comfortable with what he intended to say. "I will not ask you to be my secret," he said. Anna's eyes stung again, and she hated how quickly emotion rose. "I would not be," she whispered. Edward nodded. "Good," he inhaled slowly. "And I will not pretend," he continued, "that what I feel is mere gratitude. You have become important to me." Anna's heart lurched. She forced herself to keep her voice steady. "Your Royal Highness, you are under strain. Dr. Linton said—" Edward's gaze sharpened, but gently. "Do not hand my words back to me as if they are someone else's illness." Anna's throat tightened. "Then what are they?" Edward's voice lowered. "Truth." Silence filled the small room. The lamp flame flickered slightly. Anna stared at her hands. "I cannot afford truth," she whispered. Edward's reply was immediate. "Neither can I, and yet we must." Anna lifted her head, eyes wet. "What do you want me to do?" she asked. Edward's voice softened. "Nothing reckless. Only this. Do not let anyone make you feel ashamed for being seen speaking to me in the proper way. If Mr. Harrow speaks to you again, you answer calmly. If Lady Beatrice looks through you, you stand as you always do, straight, quiet, unbroken." Anna swallowed. "That sounds like more courage than I possess." Edward's gaze held hers. "You have it. I have seen it." Anna's breath shook. "And if you are to refuse them," she whispered, "they will press harder." Edward nodded once. "Yes." Anna's voice was barely audible. "And if you refuse, and they still insist, what will happen to you?" Edward looked down at the locket, then back at her. "I do not know," he said honestly, "but I know what will not happen. I will not abandon someone again to keep my hands clean." Anna's chest tightened painfully. "Someone again." Edward's jaw worked, but he did not explain. He did not need to. The weight of the words was enough. Anna's voice shook. "I do not want to be the reason you are punished." Edward stepped a fraction closer. "You are not a reason," he said. "You are a person, and I am tired of living as if people are reasons." Anna swallowed hard. She lifted her chin. "Then hear me, sir." Edward stilled. "Yes." Anna's voice steadied with effort. "If you choose to change your life, do not do it with half measures. Do not pull me close in private and push me away in public." Edward's eyes held hers, intent. "I will not," he said. Anna's throat tightened. "And do not ask me to accept kindness dressed as concealment." Edward's reply came quiet and sure. "I will not." Anna's eyes stung again, but this time she did not wipe them. She let them be. Edward's voice gentled. "You have every right to be afraid." Anna nodded. "Yes, and you have every right," he continued, "to refuse me entirely." Anna's breath caught. "I do not know what I refuse when I do not know what you ask." Edward's mouth softened. "Then I ask only this tonight," he said. "Trust that I will not use you, and trust that I will not let others ruin you for their convenience." Anna stared at him. The room felt still in a way that was not empty, but steady. She nodded once. Small. "Very well." Edward exhaled, slow, as if releasing something he had held too long. "Thank you," he said again. Anna rose, curtsied properly, and for once it did not feel like humiliation. It felt like a boundary she chose, not a chain placed on her. "Good night, Your Royal Highness," she said. Edward's gaze softened. "Good night, Anna." She walked to the door. Her hand touched the knob. Behind her, Edward spoke one last time, quietly. "Tomorrow," he said, "when they speak of duty, remember that dignity is also a duty." Anna paused, then nodded without turning. "Yes, sir." The next morning began with footsteps that did not belong to the house. Anna heard them before she saw anyone. Too many souls on the floor. Too many voices that did not soften when they passed a door. Mrs. Hawthorne met the maids in the corridor, with her jaw set. "Look alive," she said. "If you tremble, tremble inside." "Yes, ma'am," they answered. Anna tied her apron with hands that tried to shake. She remembered Edward's words from the night before. Dignity is also a duty. She lifted her chin a little higher than usual and went to the kitchen. The palace cook barked orders, as if she had lived there all her life. Hot water, fresh bread, no soot on the trays. Where is the girl with the steady hands? Anna stepped forward. Here. The cook's eyes swept her. You. Bring tea to the small drawing room. Not the library. The small drawing room. Quickly. Yes, Anna replied, and did not add sir or ma'am. The cook was neither. She carried the tray through corridors that felt narrower than yesterday. Men in fine coats passed without looking at her. Ladies' maids spoke in low voices, as if servants were furniture. When Anna reached the small drawing room, she heard Lady Beatrice's voice before she saw her. I have been patient, Lady Beatrice was saying. I have been reasonable, but I will not be treated as an afterthought, Mr. Harrow answered, calm and polite. No one intends to treat you as such, Lady Beatrice. And yet he avoids me, Lady Beatrice said. He dines, he bows, he smiles, and then he vanishes behind closed doors. This is not courtship, it is delay. Anna knocked softly. Enter, Harrow called. Anna stepped in with her eyes lowered and the tray steady. Lady Beatrice sat on a settee like a portrait that expected admiration. She was not cruel-looking. She was simply certain. Her gloved hand rested on the arm as if the room belonged to her by invitation from God. Harrow stood near a table with papers. Edward stood by the window, looking out as if the view were the only honest thing in the world. Anna curtsied. Lady Beatrice did not acknowledge the curtsy, only looked at the tray. Finally, she said. Anna set the tea down and poured without spilling. Her hands were steadier than her heart. Lady Beatrice lifted her cup. You may go, she said, as if sending away a shadow. Anna curtsied again and turned. Edward's voice stopped her. Anna. The sound of her name in that room struck like a bell. Anna froze, then turned slightly, eyes still lowered. Yes, Your Royal Highness? Lady Beatrice's gaze sharpened. Edward walked from the window to the table with the tea. He did not rush. He did not glance at Lady Beatrice to ask permission. He reached for the pot. Leave it, Lady Beatrice said, surprised. The maid can— I will, Edward replied and poured his own cup. Harrow's face went still, as if watching a chess move. Anna stood in place, unsure whether to flee or obey. Edward set the cup down and looked directly at her. Thank you, he said, simple and clear. Anna's throat tightened. Of course, Your Royal Highness. Lady Beatrice's voice turned colder, though still controlled. You thank servants by name now? She asked. Edward's gaze did not leave Anna. I thank people by name, he replied. Anna felt heat climb her cheeks. She wanted to vanish. She also wanted to stand. Edward nodded toward the door. You may go, he said gently. Anna curtsied once more, then left as quietly as she could. In the corridor, she pressed her palm to her chest as if it could hold her heart in place. Behind her, Lady Beatrice's voice followed. Crisp. People, she repeated. How very modern. Anna hurried back to the kitchen before her face betrayed anything. Margaret caught her near the pantry. You look like you ran a mile, Margaret murmured. I carried tea, Anna whispered. Margaret's eyes narrowed. Tea doesn't do that. Anna swallowed. He spoke my name. Margaret exhaled slowly. In front of who? Anna's voice barely worked. Lady Beatrice. Margaret's mouth tightened. Lord preserve us. Mrs. Hawthorne swept in at that moment. Anna, she snapped. You will go to the servants' hall and remain there until I call you. No wandering, no errands. Do you understand? Anna's stomach dropped. Ma'am? Mrs. Hawthorne leaned in, voice low. This house is not a house today, she said. It is a stage, and you are in the wrong play. Anna swallowed hard. Yes, ma'am. She went to the servants' hall and sat with her hands folded, listening to the hum of the estate. Every sound felt like a thread being pulled tighter around her life. Thomas slipped in, pretending to fetch a cloth. Anna, he whispered, eyes wide. He's doing it. Doing what? Anna whispered back. Thomas glanced toward the door. He told Lady Beatrice he won't proceed. Not here, not at all. Anna's breath caught. He said that? Thomas nodded quickly. Right to her face, polite as prayer but firm. She went white. Anna's fingers trembled in her lap. And Mr. Pritchard? Thomas's mouth twisted. Pritchard smiled. That's how you know he's angry. Anna's throat tightened. Then it will be worse. Thomas hesitated. Harrow told Pritchard to pack. Said he's returning to London today. Anna blinked. Returning? Thomas nodded. Reassigned. I heard the word. Anna's chest loosened by a fraction. Not safety, but air. Thomas started to say more, then the hall door opened and Mrs. Hawthorne appeared. Thomas, she snapped. Where is your work? Thomas vanished like smoke. Mrs. Hawthorne's gaze pinned Anna. Come, she said. Anna stood, knees weak, and followed. Mrs. Hawthorne led her not to the kitchen, not to the scullery, but to a small corridor near the chapel entrance used for family prayers. Anna's mouth went dry. Mrs. Hawthorne stopped and faced her. Listen carefully, she said. Mr. Harrow asked for you again. Anna's heart thudded. What does he want? Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes were tight. I don't know. But I know this. You will answer calmly. You will speak the truth. And you will not let your face tell stories. Anna swallowed. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne hesitated, then added in a quieter voice, almost grudging, You have done nothing shameful, she said. Remember that. Anna's eyes stung. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Hawthorne opened the door to a small sitting room. Edward was there. Harrow stood with papers again. Dr. Linton stood near the fireplace, as if he belonged there by concern rather than rank. Edward turned at the sound of the door. Anna curtsied. Harrow nodded politely. Thank you, Mrs. Hawthorne. That will be all. Mrs. Hawthorne's lips pressed together, but she left. The door closed. Anna's breathing turned shallow. Edward looked at her steadily. You are all right? He asked. Anna swallowed. I am standing. Edward's mouth softened, as if he wanted to smile, and did not allow himself. Harrow cleared his throat. Anna Whitmore, he said. I owe you an apology. Anna blinked, startled. Sir? Harrow's tone was formal but sincere. You were drawn into matters far above your station, he said. That was improper. Mr. Pritchard's conduct has been reviewed. He will not return to this household. Anna's breath trembled out. Thank you, she whispered, then stopped herself. I mean, I am grateful. Harrow nodded. You may be grateful. You may also be angry. Either would be reasonable. Anna did not know what to do with reasonableness from a man like him. Edward spoke, calm. Harrow. Harrow turned slightly. Yes, Your Royal Highness. Edward's gaze stayed on Anna. Tell her what else, he said. Harrow's eyes flicked to Dr. Linton, then back. His Majesty has been informed, Harrow said, and a decision has been made. Anna's heart jumped. Edward's voice was steady. He will see me in London this afternoon. Anna's stomach turned. You are leaving? Edward nodded once. Yes. Anna's hands tightened. And Lady Beatrice? Harrow answered. Lady Beatrice returns to London as well. Her family has been told there will be no engagement. Anna's breath caught. Just like that. Harrow's expression stayed careful. Not just like that, there are consequences, there are negotiations, there are tempers. Dr. Linton spoke gently. But there is also relief. Edward looked at Anna, as if measuring the cost in her face. I will not pretend it is simple, he said. Anna's voice came out thin. They will blame someone. Edward's gaze sharpened. They will blame me, Harrow added quietly. And they will look for lesser targets, as people always do. Anna's throat tightened. Then why? Edward cut in firm. Because I will not let them. Silence held. Dr. Linton cleared his throat, as if giving the room permission to breathe. Anna, he said softly. His Royal Highness asked me to witness something. Anna blinked. Witness? Edward's fingers flexed once at his side, then stilled. Harrow looked down at his papers, as if respectfully giving space. Edward took a step forward, not close enough to break propriety, but close enough that Anna felt the change in air. Anna, he said, voice low, I told you I will not ask you to be my secret. Anna swallowed hard. Yes, Your Royal Highness. Edward's jaw tightened slightly. I will not be your secret either, he said. Not behind my title, not behind my grief. Anna's eyes stung. Edward continued steady. I am going to London to speak to my father, he said. I will tell him I refuse an arranged engagement. I will tell him I intend to live differently. Anna's throat tightened. And what does that have to do with me? Edward's gaze held hers, unwavering. Everything, he said. Anna's breath caught. Harrow shifted. then spoke carefully, as if reading from a page written by law. "Under the Royal Marriages Act," he said, "a prince must have the sovereign's consent to marry." Anna's knees felt weak. Edward's voice stayed calm. "I will ask for it." Anna's lips parted, but no sound came. Dr. Linton's expression was gentle and steady, as if silently encouraging her not to run. Edward's voice softened. "And if consent is refused," he said, "I will step away from the privileges they use to control me. I will accept a quieter life, away from court, away from the machinery." Anna's chest tightened painfully. "You would give up everything," she whispered. Edward shook his head once, almost impatient with the word everything. "I would give up what is false," he said, "not what is true." Anna's eyes filled. She blinked hard, refusing to let tears fall in front of Harrow, refusing to be the story people wanted. Edward's voice gentled further. "I cannot promise you ease," he said, "but I can promise you respect. I can promise you a name spoken in daylight. I can promise you I will never push you away to make myself look clean." Anna's throat tightened. "Why me?" Edward's gaze did not flicker. "Because you stood before me with no desire to use me," he said. "Because you spoke honestly when it would have been safer to flatter. Because you did not treat my pain as entertainment." Anna's voice trembled. "That is not love. That is decency." Edward nodded slowly. "Yes," he said, "and I have learned decency is rarer than poetry." Harrow cleared his throat softly, as if reminding them time existed. "Your Royal Highness," he said, "the carriage leaves within the hour." Edward did not look away from Anna. "I am asking you for something," he said. Anna's hands clenched. "What?" Edward's voice dropped to a quiet that felt like a vow. "Wait for my answer," he said. "And if the answer is yes, let me ask you properly." Anna's chest tightened. "Properly?" Edward nodded. "With consent, with witnesses, with a future that does not hide you." Anna's vision blurred. She forced herself to speak. "And if the answer is no?" she whispered. Edward's mouth tightened, not from anger, but from the effort of restraint. "Then I will still protect you," he said. "You will have a reference from Harrow himself, wages enough to begin again, and no whisper will be left unchecked." Harrow looked up briefly, then nodded as if accepting the duty. Anna swallowed hard. "You ask me to wait," she said. Edward's gaze held hers. "Yes," he replied, not as an order, as a plea. Anna stared at him. She saw the prince in his posture, the man in his eyes, and the weight of choice in his stillness. She nodded once. "I will wait," she whispered. Edward exhaled slowly, as if he had been holding his breath for days. "Thank you," he said. Harrow stepped forward, professional again. "We should go," he said. Edward finally looked away from Anna, and the room felt colder at once. Dr. Linton moved toward the door, pausing beside Anna. "You did well," he murmured. Anna's throat tightened. "I only stood." Dr. Linton's gaze softened. "Sometimes standing is the bravest thing." Edward stopped at the door and looked back. His eyes met Anna's. He did not speak. He only inclined his head, not as a prince to a servant, but as a man to a woman he meant to honor. Then he left. The house exhaled after the carriages rolled away, but Anna did not. Mrs. Hawthorne kept her busy with work, perhaps to protect her from her own thoughts. "Fold," she snapped. "Carry, wipe, do not stare at windows." "Yes, ma'am." Anna moved through tasks like a person walking through rain without a coat. Everything touched her. Everything felt heavy. Margaret found her by the washroom and shoved a warm cup into her hands. "Drink," she whispered. Anna sipped, barely tasting. Margaret watched her face. "He left?" Anna nodded. "Yes." "And you're still here," Margaret said, as if testing the world. Anna nodded again. "Yes." Margaret leaned closer. "Do you like him?" Anna's cheeks burned. "I don't know what I feel," she whispered. "I only know what he asked." Margaret's eyes narrowed with a kind of fierce tenderness. "And what did he ask?" Anna swallowed. "To wait." Margaret exhaled softly. "Then wait, but don't let waiting turn you into a shadow." Anna's throat tightened. "I won't." Night fell. Then another day arrived. Then another. No palace carriages returned. No steward with a smile arrived to make her small. Mrs. Hawthorne did not mention Mr. Pritchard again. Harrow sent a letter, sealed, addressed to Mrs. Hawthorne. Anna saw the seal, then saw Mrs. Hawthorne's face change as she read. Later that afternoon, Mrs. Hawthorne called Anna into her little account room. Anna entered and curtsied, heart pounding. Mrs. Hawthorne held the letter in her hand. "You have been offered a position," she said abruptly. Anna blinked. "A position?" Mrs. Hawthorne's mouth tightened. "In London, in a respectable household, with wages that would make any maid listen." Anna's throat tightened. "Offered by whom?" Mrs. Hawthorne looked at her as if annoyed by the obvious. "By Mr. Harrow," she said, "on behalf of His Royal Highness." Anna's hands trembled. Mrs. Hawthorne continued, brisk. "It is a safety net. If things go poorly, you go there, do you understand?" Anna swallowed. "Yes, ma'am." Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes held hers. "And if things go well," she added, voice low, "you will still be respectable. That is what matters. Respectable." Anna's eyes stung. "Thank you, ma'am." Mrs. Hawthorne sniffed. "Do not thank me," she snapped, but her voice lacked its usual bite. "Go back to your work." Anna left with her heart in her throat. 3 days later, the sound of wheels on gravel returned. Anna was in the corridor near the kitchen when she heard it. Her whole body went still. A maid rushed past, whispering, "He's back." Anna's breath stopped. She forced herself to walk, not run, toward the front hall. Servants lined the corridor like they did for formal arrivals. Mrs. Hawthorne stood rigid at the front, hands clasped, expression stern. The front doors opened. Edward stepped in. He looked the same in dress, but not the same in presence. Something in him had steadied. His shoulders seemed less burdened by invisible hands. Harrow followed, face composed. Dr. Linton followed as well, watchful. Mrs. Hawthorne curtsied deeply. The servants followed. Edward's gaze moved over the line, then found Anna. For a moment he did not speak. His eyes held hers like a promise. Then he turned to Mrs. Hawthorne. "Thank you for managing the household," he said. Mrs. Hawthorne stiffened, clearly unused to being thanked. "It is my duty, Your Royal Highness," she replied. Edward nodded once. "Yes, and it was done well." Mrs. Hawthorne looked as if she might protest the compliment, then thought better of it. Edward's gaze returned to Anna. "Anna Whitmore," he said. Anna curtsied, pulse roaring in her ears. "Yes, Your Royal Highness." Edward's voice was calm, but there was something in it that made the air tighten. "Will you come with me?" he asked. "To the chapel room?" Whispers flickered through the servants like wind through leaves. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes widened, then narrowed, as if bracing for scandal. Anna's throat tightened. She could not look at anyone. She looked only at Edward. "Yes," she said softly. "Yes, Your Royal Highness." Edward offered his arm. Not to touch her skin, not to pull her into intimacy, but to escort her with respect, as if she were a guest and not a maid. Anna hesitated. Every rule screamed at her. Then she remembered her own words. "Do not pull me close in private and push me away in public." Edward's arm remained steady, waiting, not forcing. Anna placed her gloved hand lightly on his sleeve. The contact was small, proper, and it changed everything. They walked through the corridor together. Harrow followed at a respectful distance. Dr. Linton did as well. Mrs. Hawthorne stood frozen, then turned her head sharply away, as if refusing to witness what her heart already understood. In the small chapel room, Edward closed the door, leaving Harrow and Dr. Linton inside as witnesses. Anna released Edward's arm at once and curtsied, hands trembling. Edward turned to Harrow. "Do you have it?" he asked. Harrow took out a folded document with a seal. "Yes," he said. "His Majesty's consent." Anna's breath caught so hard, she felt dizzy. Edward held the document for a moment without opening it, as if simply holding it made him lighter. Dr. Linton exhaled softly. "Good." Edward looked at Anna, and his eyes were bright with something Anna had not dared to imagine. "I asked," he said quietly. Anna's voice barely worked. "And he said yes." Edward nodded. "He said yes." Anna's knees threatened to give way. She reached for the back of a chair to steady herself, ashamed of her weakness. Edward stepped closer, still careful, still respectful. "He said yes," Edward repeated, "because I told him I would not survive another life built on obedience alone." Anna's eyes stung. "What did it cost you?" Edward's mouth tightened. "Pride," he said. Comfort, the easy path. Harrow added, businesslike, and certain roles at court will be reduced. There will be a quieter life than the one expected. Anna swallowed. A quieter life because of me. Edward's gaze sharpened gently. Not because of you, he said. Because of my choice. Anna's breath trembled out. Edward took a small breath, then spoke with steady simplicity. I will not keep you as a story whispered in corridors, he said. I will not keep you as a kindness I hide. I want you as my wife. Anna's vision blurred. She blinked hard, trying to keep herself composed. Doctor. Linton looked down as if giving them privacy within the witness. Harrow's expression softened slightly, though he remained proper. Anna's voice shook. Your Royal Highness. Edward's jaw tightened. Edward, he corrected softly. In this room, if you can bear it. Anna swallowed. Her throat hurt. Edward, she whispered, and the name felt like a door opening. Edward's gaze held hers. I am asking you, he said, with my father's consent, with witnesses and with a future that does not hide you, will you marry me? Anna's hands trembled. She pressed them together so hard her fingers ached. Every fear rose at once. The whispers, the stares, the judgment, the weight of stepping into a world that could crush her. Then she remembered his arm offered in the hall, the steadiness of it, the refusal to make her small. She lifted her chin. I will, she said, voice trembling but clear. I will marry you. Edward exhaled a sound that was almost a laugh, almost a sob, and then he stopped himself, as if ashamed of relief. He stepped closer, then paused. May I? He asked quietly, looking at her hands as if asking permission to hold them. Anna nodded, tears finally spilling despite her effort. Yes, she whispered. Edward took her hands gently, as if holding something precious and fragile. His hands were warm. The roughness at his knuckles was still there faintly, like proof that the scrub brush had not been a dream. I will spend my life proving you did not make a mistake, he said. Anna shook her head, crying and laughing at once in a way that felt unladylike and unstoppable. Do not, she whispered. Do not make love a burden, just be true. Edward's gaze softened. I will, he said. I swear it. Harrow cleared his throat quietly. Your Royal Highness, he said, then corrected himself with a small nod. Edward, the chaplain is prepared if you wish the ceremony today. Anna's breath caught again. Today? Edward looked at her. If you want it, he said. Not as haste, as certainty. Anna's hands trembled in his. If we wait, she whispered, they will speak. They will press. They will try to change minds. Edward's gaze sharpened. They will. Anna took a shaky breath. Then today, she said. Edward's mouth softened into the smallest smile. Today, he agreed. The chapel was not grand. It did not need to be. Anna stood with Mrs. Hawthorne on one side, and Margaret hovering behind, eyes bright with tears she refused to admit. Thomas stood near the back, pretending to be solemn while his face looked ready to split with joy. Mrs. Hawthorne whispered, fierce and hurried, as she adjusted Anna's collar. Stand straight, she muttered. If you are going to do this, do it like you were born to it. Anna's voice shook. I wasn't. Mrs. Hawthorne's eyes flashed. You are now. Anna almost laughed through her tears. The chaplain spoke gently, not dramatic. The vows were simple. The words landed like stones placed in a foundation. Edward spoke his vows without looking away from Anna once. I take you, he said, voice steady. Not as a secret, not as a kindness, but as my wife. Anna's voice trembled, but she spoke clearly. I take you, she replied, not as a crown, but as a man who chose truth. When the chaplain declared them married, Mrs. Hawthorne made a sound that might have been a sniff or a sob, and turned her head sharply, as if offended by her own emotion. Margaret gripped Anna's hand for a brief moment and whispered, You did it. Anna whispered back, We did. Edward stepped closer, still careful, and lifted Anna's hand. He did not make a show. He only pressed his lips to her knuckles, a gesture so restrained and reverent that it made Anna's heart fold in on itself. Then he looked at her and said quietly, as if only she could hear, Hello, my wife. Anna's tears spilled again. Hello, she whispered, and could not say more. Harrow stood near the door afterward, as if guarding them from the world. "There will be letters," he said to Edward. "There will be conversations." Edward nodded. "Let them come, Doctor." Linton watched Anna with the calm satisfaction of a man who had seen too much sorrow end badly and was grateful for a different ending. "Eat something," he advised her gently. "Joy is exhausting." Anna let out a shaky laugh. "Yes, Doctor." Edward took her hand again, openly, and led her out of the chapel. Servants lined the corridor, not in stiff fear this time, but in stunned silence that turned, slowly, into something like respect. Thomas bowed awkwardly. Margaret curtsied with a grin she could not hide. Mrs. Hawthorne curtsied too, stiff but deep, and when Anna tried to curtsy back, Mrs. Hawthorne hissed, "Stop that! You'll make me faint." Anna laughed through her tears, and even Mrs. Hawthorne's mouth twitched. Later, when the house finally quieted, Edward led Anna to the very room where she had first seen him scrubbing. The floorboards shone faintly in the evening light. The room looked ordinary again, and yet Anna's throat tightened as if it held every moment inside it. Edward closed the door behind them. Anna stood with her hands clasped, suddenly shy, as if marriage had made her younger instead of older. Edward watched her, then reached into his coat pocket and drew out the plain locket. He held it in his palm. "I told you I would not speak her name to you," he said. Anna's chest tightened. "You do not have to." "I do," Edward replied, voice quiet. "Not for her sake, for mine." Anna swallowed. "All right." Edward's fingers tightened around the locket, then loosened. "She was named Clara," he said. Anna's eyes stung. She nodded once, not speaking. Edward's voice was steady, but the pain beneath it was still there, now carried instead of hidden. "I did not save her," he said. "I told myself it was duty. I told myself it was necessary, and then she was gone. And I could not undo the choice." Anna stepped closer, careful. "You cannot undo it," she whispered. "But you can stop repeating it." Edward's gaze met hers, bright with grief and relief tangled together. "That is what you gave me," he said. "Not by healing me, by refusing to let me hide." Anna's throat tightened. "You gave yourself that," she said, voice trembling. "I only stood there." Edward's mouth softened. "And you stood again," he said. "And again, until I remembered I could stand too." Anna's tears returned, but she did not fight them now. Edward held the locket out. "I will not throw it away," he said. "I will not pretend it never existed. But I will not use it to punish myself any more." Anna nodded, crying quietly. "That is right." Edward opened a small drawer in the side table and placed the locket inside, gently, like laying a flower on a grave without kneeling in it. He closed the drawer. Then he turned back to Anna. His gaze held hers with an intensity that felt like warmth, not fire. "I am yours," he said simply. "Not in secret, not in guilt, in truth." Anna's voice shook. "And I am yours." Edward stepped closer, and this time he did not stop himself at the last proper distance. He only moved with care, as if asking with his body what his words had already asked. He lifted his hand, paused near her cheek. "May I?" he whispered. Anna nodded, breath trembling. "Yes." His fingertips brushed her cheek lightly, a touch so gentle it made Anna's knees go weak. She laughed softly through tears. "I am married and I still tremble." Edward's mouth curved into a real smile, the first she had seen without strain. "So do I," he confessed. "I have done grand things in rooms full of people and never trembled like this." Anna shook her head, smiling. "Then perhaps grand things were never the point." Edward's eyes softened. "Perhaps not." A knock sounded at the door, timid. Mrs. Hawthorne's voice came through, brisk and embarrassed. "There is supper, and do not make the staff wait for the honor of serving you, because I will not hear the end of it," Edward called back, amused. "We are coming." Silence. Then Mrs. Hawthorne added quieter, as if forced to say it. "Congratulations." Anna's mouth parted in surprise. Edward's gaze met Anna's, warm. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. Anna nodded, laughing softly. "I did." Edward offered his arm again, not as a prince to a maid, as a husband to his wife. Anna took it, and they stepped toward the door. As they passed the table, Anna glanced down and saw, tucked beside a folded cloth, a small scrub brush that someone had left behind, as if the house could not let go of the beginning. Edward followed her gaze. He picked up the brush, turned it in his hand and then set it down again. "No more punishment," he said quietly. Anna nodded. "Only living." Edward looked at her, eyes bright. "Yes," he said. "Only living." They walked into the corridor together, and for the first time Anna did not feel like a shadow in someone else's house. She felt like a woman stepping into her own life, held by a hand that did not let go. Thank you so much for listening to this story all the way to the end. We hope it moved you as much as it moved us while telling it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave us a comment telling us where you're listening from and what you liked the most. Rate this story from 0 to 10. What score would you give it? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like as a show of support. That really motivates us to keep creating and sharing more stories full of emotion and life lessons. And before we go, we want to remind you that an exciting and heartwarming story recommendation will appear on the final screen. If you'd like to enjoy it, just click on the video. Thank you once again for being here, and we'll see you in the next story.